Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we got you a lot of stuff to get into today. We will talk with Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock. NFL Network analytics expert. Get her thoughts on the NFL, the Bengals, the Bills. One of the things that we talked about yesterday is the percentage, FPI percentage projections of either of them making the playoffs. 35.7 for the Bengals, 31 point something for the Bills. Like, what are the odds? What's the percentage chance of both missing, neither missing, one making the playoffs? Well, I guess we know what that odds of one making the playoffs is. Depending on the one, it'd be Bengals 35.7, Bills 31 point whatever. So we'll talk with Cynthia Freeland about that, get her thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles coming up on Monday night. The Chiefs with the better record and the tiebreaker over a couple of teams already as, the number one seed, not the tiebreaker over the Ravens, but better record than the Ravens. So a lot of stuff to get into with the NFL today. We'll also hang out with Kendall Gammon today at noon. He'll be in studio with us as it's a weird week this week because things are all moved back because the Chiefs play on a Monday. So today is like a Tuesday, and tomorrow is going to be a Wednesday, but on a Thursday, and then Friday is going to be a Thursday, but on a Friday. And therefore, all the press conferences going on, they will be going on during Kendall Gammon at noon, but there is no press conference today because even though it's a Wednesday, it's a Tuesday for the Chiefs, and typically on a Wednesday it would be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes around noon, but they are not going to talk today because it's a Tuesday, and even though it's a Wednesday. So Kendall Gammon, who's in on a Friday, will be here on a Wednesday, which is a Tuesday for the Chiefs.
Exactly. Next week is also Thanksgiving, so we are going to have to do this again, I realized yesterday. Maybe Kendall wants to host a show the day after Thanksgiving.
He feel free to do that.
I tell you what, the Kendall Gammon show.
I'll be watching Mizzou and Arkansas trying to get 10 wins and going to a New Year's Six Bowl.
I'll at least check out the podcast for that. I'd like to hear Kendall do 4 hours.
I can have it on in the background while I'm saying he can host it. I'm not going to be in here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
With him. But I'll listen to it while watching some other things. And
You know what? If Kendall wants to host it, maybe I will come in.
well, we'll be hosting Thanksgiving for my family on Friday, so I'll be doing that. That's why I won't be able to be in with Kendall. I apologize. I'd love
How
to.
you feel
it,
about that, confidence-wise?
I feel great. I
You
love
do
it.
Frequently you host Thanksgivings? This isn't a new...
I've always dreamed about hosting Thanksgiving.
Okay,
I
all right.
love doing it. It's my favorite holiday.
It's a great holiday.
It's the number one holiday, and if you disagree with that, you're wrong. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I get it.
I'd agree with you, except we'd both be wrong then. It is awesome because you get food, you get family, you get football, and you don't have all the pressure and the stresses of the gifts and getting the right gift and not disappointing somebody or you being disappointed and all the money you're spending. You get everything outside of all of the gift giving and all of that, which can be fun in and of itself, but there's so much stress and months leading up to that to give the gifts just for those 15 minutes or so when they're opening up the gifts. This is just, let's get together, let's enjoy a lot of food, let's have some fellowship, let's break some bread, we watch some sports, we hang out.
Pick one board game or card game to get a little too competitive about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
That's exactly right. Back in the day when, my mom is like one of 8, 9 children because she was born before 1970. So they all have, 10, 11 siblings. Right. It's weird. Like my father-in-law was one of 11. My mother-in-law was an only child. My mom is one of 8. My dad was an only child.
Interesting.
Riddle me that. Like it's one or the other. You have one or you have an entire clan of them. Just it's all, who's your kin? That group over there.
That you see that football team right there?
It's a church. Yes, I know. The entire everybody in that church is my kin. Okay, this entire town is actually kin. It's actually called Kintown.
It's just the Barbie movie.
That's exactly right. I don't know what that means. The reference there, I haven't seen it, but I'll take your word for it.
There's a lot of kins.
Yes. But during there's one famous time over at my grandma's house, which would be my dad's in-laws, so my mom's house. Her brothers would just tease him to no extent. Just tease him to no extent. And you ever play the board game Risk?
Uh-huh, sure.
Love the board game Risk. They'd play Risk, and every year they would team up on him to knock him out early.
Oh!
And one particular year, he had enough. They teamed up on him, and he got up and flipped the entire board.
Oh!
And thinking back now, like I didn't know what was going on because huge arguments and everything break out, and I'm just like, oh, it's family time.
Uh-huh.
we must be at grandma's around all my uncles.
It must be a family holiday.
Yeah, it's not the must be Santa song. Must be grandma's. Must be grandma's. So that one blew up that particular year. He had enough. You're not going to team up on me anymore. I can't play. Neither can you. The whole game is gone, and there's little small Risk pieces everywhere around the dining room. It's fantastic.
Did Risk have a hiatus? Is Risk still retired, or was that the turning point where they stopped ganging up on him and now Risk is fully back?
Oh, zero chance he's dead. They're still ganging up on him, probably. A number of them together in the afterlife, still teasing him.
So that was the final. That Risk never returned after that explosion.
I don't know. A small child. It's the only memory I have of Thanksgiving. Or it might have been Christmas. I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter. It was the holiday where the Risk bleep popped off.
Yeah, it's very well known in our family of the Risk holiday. All right, so
my best Thanksgiving memory is that my cousin one year ate a bread roll, and he's probably, I'm gonna say 14 or 15 at this point, so old enough to know better. He ate a bread roll, and he was about halfway through his second one. We started noticing that he's like, I don't know, man, my stomach feels kind of funny from that roll, and then we were all able to check in and realize that he was eating dough.
Oh no.
It was a roll of like pre-sliced, a tray of pre-sliced bread rolls.
Right.
He was just housing them.
Good for him.
Just housing them right there. Had not seen the oven, had not known heat yet. Full roll and a half before he went, you know what? This silly putty I'm gnawing on.
Weird.
Really unfortunate.
I do like the softness of it. I'm not a big fan of the hard bread.
This is like,
so this being soft, I appreciate that. It just
you
seems
guys made
weird.
crustless dinner rolls. Finally, I've been waiting on this for my whole life.
Well, last year he ate the potpourri, so at least this year he's going. Last year it really bothered him how crunchy the bread was, and the apple was weird. He couldn't bite through it.
So true, actually.
Now he gets the soft. Next year perfect. He's going to get it right. He's going to figure out what has already been baked.
At his
cannot be raw.
His early 20s, he stopped eating raw bread dough and started eating crayons again. So that's a step in the right direction.
It's like Benjamin Button of the things the kids eat. All right, 913-912-4810. Kendall Gammon, Mick Schaefer, Cynthia Freeland, all still to come here in the show. We'll talk some college football as clarification on the Big 12 tiebreaker. Not even a clarification, it's just a change. So we'll get into that. Although, as a, quick little nugget, it is being presented to the ADs today. So I guess, in theory, they could say, we're not changing midseason.
I can think of at least one team who would probably be inclined to vote that way.
You think Gene Taylor would be like, you know what, let's do that. It's totally fair. Let's just go with the rule change midseason. Good with it. See what we got. Let's play this thing out, as there's a lot of football left to be played, and Oklahoma State certainly can still lose one of the final two games.
Maybe he proposes a addendum to the addendum that says, hey, if you're leaving the conference, you can't play in the conference championship game. How about that?
His addendum is just eat an entire bag. And then it's a silent vote, so you write it down your vote, and it's just a piece of paper with the middle finger. Signed, K-State.
I think he might be able to get the rest of the conference behind an Oklahoma State K-State conference championship game.
In fact, Texas loses on the tiebreaker.
There
is no tiebreaker. Doesn't matter. It's a fact or fiction tiebreaker.
You're ruled out as an outgoing team. You're not going to be here next year. You don't get to play in the championship game this year.
Why not? I mean, they're changing the rules mid-season or late season. Why can't they just change those rules? Oh, sorry, we forgot to tell you that you actually are ineligible to play for the championship of this conference.
Call Oregon State and Washington State. Maybe you guys can brainstorm some stuff. I don't know. You have a chance to do something hilarious.
You guys are fine. You go play each other. It's like a Champions Classic. Just get together.
That's really good, actually. I like that.
Speaking of, I do appreciate that there wasn't the typical college basketball late game stuff to where there's like a missed shot, free throws, missed shot, free throws, missed shot, free throws. So the +7 was still okay for me.
Wow, great point.
Yeah, with the parlay of the Duke minus the 4 and Kentucky plus the 7. I would have been very annoyed if KU won by 8 because the right side was Kentucky plus 7, the way they had played throughout the game. But credit to KU for finding a way to win. And late in that game, when it felt like this was just you get the feeling like, oh, it's one of those nights. Like Kentucky's got a freshman that just starts burying threes. Right, just hitting threes left and right. But Kansas can't really complain because DeJuan Harris turned into Reggie Miller in the game, or Steph Curry in the game. It is fascinating. DeJuan Harris's offensive game is so unique that the scouting report is always go under the screen. Yet when he shoots, he makes it. He doesn't shoot very often. I mean, he did last night. He's 5 of 6, but he doesn't shoot very often.
5 of 6 from 3, just in case
sorry
weren't
about
watching.
That. Yeah, 5 of 6 from 3.
From 3.
5 of 6 from 3, and his first miss was at the end, right? When it was sort of like the chuck, as it was great defense by Kentucky after the timeout. And so they get the ball down 3, and then they also had an odd chuck by, legacy freshman Reed Shepherd. Remember Jeff Shepherd at Kentucky?
I don't.
Back in the day in the late 90s? Yeah, I don't know why you would. His son throws up just a ridiculous shot on a play that was clearly not the play for him to turn, double clutch an NBA 3, and then airball it by about 2 or 3 feet. But DeJuan Harris's only missed 3 was that last play of the game, essentially, or free throws by McDowell. But last play there, so he was 5 of 5. His game is just incredible. That he's out there dropping dimes and assisting and throwing a lob to Hunter Dickinson on his way to the bucket. He finishes when need be. He's a perfect point guard. And he's a perfect point guard because one of the things that I prefer in a point guard is somebody that can run the offense, understand the pacing, understand when to push it, when to slow down, just the intelligence of the game. I'm okay with turnovers from time to time because it means you're forcing the issue. You can have a point guard with no turnovers, but does he have 2 assists? Well, this guy had 4 turnovers. He had 12 assists. I'm not saying DeJuan Harris last night. He had 7 assists last night. But I'll take the 12 assists and 4 turnovers rather than 2 assists and no turnover. He didn't turn the ball over. Right, but he wasn't driving and creating easy buckets. Okay? And that's what I want a point guard to do. but also you have to score when called upon in the flow of the offense. You cannot be a zero out there. And there was a time where DeJuan Harris was just a simple zero offensively. Early last year, right?
Early in this, wasn't his first three just the unguarded one?
That was all. That's all it is, really.
That's the defense. And if you can punish for that, my God.
And so when he drives to the basket and they don't help off of him, he'll finish. He's pretty damn good at that. And when he shoots a three, he makes it. Like, I'm shocked when I look at the numbers, like at the end of the season, he's not an 80% three-point shooter. Yeah. He picks and chooses. And I think DeJuan Harris is a perfect example of when you have a three-point shooter over the course of the season, he's going to take some pull-up threes. He's going to take some turnaround or in the flow. You V-cut, you come back out, you get a down screen, you come out to the three, turn around, knock it down, or at least take the shot, miss it, make it, guarded threes, late possession, try a step back three. If you're a three-point shooter, you've got all different types of and open threes. DeJuan Harris is a great example of how good college basketball players are and how many shots they take. And I bet DeJuan Harris could sit out there and make 12, 13, 14, 15 threes in a row. And if you're taking an open three, unguarded, just how good the college basketball players are. The percentage over the course of the season is in the flow of the game. You're guarded, it's a pull-up, it's a flare screen, you're catching, you're shooting, a step back, all different against different defenses, all different types throughout the season, like a batting average against the curveball, but this guy specifically against a fastball low and inside, boy, he's raking to right field every time. College basketball players' open shots, they go down. They go down. Maybe not the rate that NBA players go down, but the college basketball, I've told the story before, like Peyton Siva's one of the worst shooters in game that I've ever seen. He was a national championship point guard for Louisville. Excuse me, they didn't win it that year. They didn't show up. It was a no-show, nobody played. He was one of the ghosts that was out there on the floor.
Somebody lost that championship, I think, but I can't remember.
He was the point guard on a game in which Michigan lost, but nobody played. And he can't make a three to save his life. Like he would have the wedgie from three, the ball between the backboard and the rim. Pre-game, can't miss. Just splash after splash after splash after splash. In the game, and it's just part of that. But DeJuan Harris, when he's open, makes a shot. He's one of the best point guards in the country because of all the things he can do for Kansas. And then you throw in 27 and 21 for Hunter Dickinson and 3 steals and a triple-double for Kevin McCullough, which, by the way, well done, go and grab that air ball at the end of the game because that was his 10th rebound. Also, the little dish to Hunter Dickinson with a couple minutes to play was his 10th assist. So McCullough had 12, 9, and 9, and in the last 2 minutes gets the assist to Dickinson and then also grabs the final rebound of the game to give himself a triple-double. Well done, sir. But that game last night, DeJuan Harris, 23.7 assists, 5 threes. Dickinson, 27 and 21. And Kevin McCullough, a triple-double, 12, 10, and 10. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but there's your recipe, right? Yeah. I mean, that's how Kansas does that. And it's not a surprise that late in the game that KU can be trailing by 6 with 3 minutes to go or 3.5 minutes to go and end up winning by 5 and outscore that team 14-3. Kentucky's got a couple of guys that have been around, but they've got some younger guys too, some newer guys, and KU's out there playing with 22 and 23-year-olds that have been there, done that. Hunter Dickinson has been there, been in the fire. McCullough's been in the fire. DeJuan Harris has won a national championship. He's been in the fire. KJ Adams has been in the fire. Like those, even though he fouled out and wasn't there the final 3 minutes. But those guys have been there, done that, and they played with more poise. They weren't just chucking up threes like Kentucky was. After Reeves' final bucket with like 3:14 to play, Kentucky was 0 of 8 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. And they were 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Where KU was 3 of 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, the one being that final 3 that was sort of forced, and 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Because they were getting the free throw. They were forcing the issue. They were playing great defense. That's what happens when you're an experienced team is late in the game, are you making the right plays? And I think that's going to be way more often than not. Ken Pom has the luck indicator thing on his algorithm. And it's not like luck, the ball bounces around 7 times and falls in. It's just how often do you win closer games and things like that. Well, KU has a lot of luck. Well, maybe it is luck, or it's the algorithm that's just defined as that. It's labeled that, but there's also a little bit more to having the best coach in America and some pretty high-end talented players and a guy who's going to be on the, he's going to be one of the players that can win Player of the Year this year, Hunter Dickinson. And right now, he's probably the favorite with having that game last night, 27-20. He's the favorite 3 games in.
And, well, I mean, like, the Jayhawks outline now is a high-level, low-variance recipe. If you're shooting a ton of threes, you might be high level, but you're going to be high variance because threes are going to ebb and flow. In specific, we're talking about college kids, and I like, especially in college basketball, luck is hard to define when you have a championship roster who has made championship runs or deep tournament runs or whatever, and then you have a team that is younger and chucking threes, and even then, like, Kentucky shot over 30% last night. They made twice as many threes as Kansas did, and early on did not feel like that was going to be, just right out of the gate, did not feel like that was going to be a problem. And having the pedigree is kind of a funny word because I think it gets kind of balled up with blue blood and just upperclassmen and all of that. But having Bill Self running an offense that has a Player of the Year candidate and a point guard who I think he would trust with his life, and rightfully so, is going to set up for a tremendously fun season. Everything you said about DeJuan Harris was true with or without him doing anything more than, look, man, just when they turn their backs to you and you have the ball in your hand behind the line, if you can hit one of those, it will really help. To your point, I think that part of the DeJuan Harris experiment is kind of gone. Like, you can't keep playing him, though. I don't know how long teams will challenge him early. And maybe it's a game-to-game thing. Maybe he hits 2 of them, and you go, all right, we got to guard the point guard.
Now we change a little bit.
And if you do that, congratulations. If only you had a player who could capitalize on the gravity there a little bit and the spacing of the floor. Oh, wait a second. You do, and it's a guy who may or may not make a gesture at half court after drilling a 3 at the end of the half.
Yeah, no doubt. And I still think you go under the 3 with DeJuan Harris, or under the screen with DeJuan Harris, because he's not just going to step back and take the shot. But when he's holding the ball and you're just looking at him, it's a difficult position to be in because I want to go and close out.
Yeah.
But I can't close out like he's a shooter, because if I close out like he's a shooter, he's just going to go around me. Now he's inside the defense, and now they're playing 3-on-2. And that's going to be a bucket, especially with a 7-footer, especially against a team that's missing 3 7-footers in Kentucky. 2 guys injured, 1 guy not cleared by the NCAA. And their big guy is 6'9". They got a 6'9" and a 6'6" guy. Those are the 2 guys that are guarding Hunter Dickinson. It's not ideal for Kentucky last night, and that's why Cal before the game said, we just got to survive. We just got to survive. We're going to try to run and out-athlete them, and they're going to try to beat us down inside. And, obviously that was the case. Here's Bill Self. He was asked last night what you can learn from that game and the 5-point win over Kentucky.
I don't know that you learned this much this fast, but I thought we showed some poise late. We screwed up the game to go from winning 72-70 to down 78-72, and then I think we outscored them 17-6 to end it. So, we made all the right plays late offensively, and I thought it was terrific. And really somebody that helped us that won't be talked about was Jamari McDowell. He at least guarded Reeves well. I thought he did a really nice job.
Yeah, I was going to ask what gave you the confidence to put in Jamari for those key minutes for the first time tonight?
To be honest with you, I don't know if it was so much confidence to put him in. I didn't know who else to put in. So it was kind of one of those deals. But no, he was terrific. He was good in that limited time. He was +9 in 3.5 minutes. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad for Jamari McDowell. And I love that. It's like, well, I didn't know who else to put in. I mean, KJ fouls out, so what do? I got this freshman kid that, hasn't played today. Go out there, son, in the Champions Classic in Chicago, the big stage. Everybody's watching. And down by 6 to Kentucky. Go get him, son. And his job was just to guard Reeves, who was 0 for 4 from 3. I mean, it's pretty damn good.
I know Chiefs fans get kind of annoyed when we went too negative too early in the year, like the Chiefs lose to the Lions, and how good is this offense actually? if you're a KU Chiefs fan, you can never talk about it. I would love to hate something beautiful as much as Bill Self hates all of his teams right out of the gate. I mean, it is that's how I know when college basketball really begins.
That's
is
a
when
good
Bill
point,
Self says, "Well, I don't really like any of my players. I mean, I think we're number one in the country, but I think they're all number one on the bench."
Somehow we went from winning by one and just blowing it, just playing just like ass, but winning by 5 against a really talented team.
It really makes me happy, genuinely. Like, it's not even. He knows it's a bit now too. Like, it's a little more tongue in cheek even from him at this point, I think, and it's just wonderful.
One more, and then we'll take a break. I don't know that a transfer player has endeared himself probably to that particular fan base as quickly as I think Hunter Dickinson has with the KU fan base, especially after the game on the court. I didn't cut that clip, but after the game on the court when he's like, this is Kansas basketball. This is championships. This is what it's about. The most wins in NCAA history. I get it. I know you did that on purpose.
That's pretty good. I like
did
that.
On purpose. And then after the interview's over, he looks in the camera, says "Rock Chalk." Like everybody's doing the MIZ Rock Chalk. Go Cats! Everybody's doing that now at the end of Hook 'em at the end of every interview, right? But here's Bill Self was asked about the Michigan State fans that stayed around were booing Hunter Dickinson every time he touched the basketball, and Kentucky fans were too because he chose Kansas over Kentucky, which could be the entire difference of Kansas being number 1 and Kentucky being like 15, as opposed to Kentucky being number 1 and Kansas like 9 or 10. But it's a pretty massive swing, and in that game, 27 points and 21 rebounds in a 5-point game is pretty massive. But Bill Self was asked, Hunter Dickinson getting booed like that and being somebody that sort of other fans hate, does that do anything for your team in that game?
I don't think it does much, to be honest with you. It may do something for him. I don't think we get fired up by how people treat Hunter, good or bad. But I thought, let's call it like it is. He catches some crap, sometimes with good reason, and many times with not. And he catches some crap, but one thing he does, he doesn't run from it ever. So I think guys like that give teams confidence. Now, granted, when he left, I don't know, did he talk to the media? And he was, I'm sure, deflecting and praising teammates and all that. But the whole deal, most of the stuff that you guys remember about Hunt, 95% of it are things that happened before he got to Kansas. And so he's been really good since he's been here.
I love that. Some of it deserved. Some of it maybe not. But yeah, it's he's going to be a guy that KU fans love and every other fan base despises. Just because of his antics on the court too. The celebrations, when you're that good and you're sort of in your Christian Brown. I said in a complimentary way that Christian Brown plays punkish. Mm-hmm. But it was a complimentary way that he's good and he throws it in your face about how good he is, and he'll talk, and it's just really freaking annoying unless you're a fan. Like Jason Sutherland played punkish, and every other team, not Missouri, hated Jason Sutherland. And Missouri fans love Jason Sutherland because you know that. You know it just annoys everybody else. That's going to be Hunter Dickinson this year, and KU fans are going to love it, and everybody else is going to hate.
They don't call him Hunter Ensign.
No, they don't. They call him Hunter Dickinson.
Mm-hmm. Jason figured it out when he said it out loud.
Yeah. So his play and his antics on the court puts the Richard in his last name.
And his celebration. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah. You know what? All good. We'll take a break. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. So we've talked this week about the Big 12 tiebreaker involving Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma. There's a lot of football left to be played. There's still 2 weeks of football, and we'll see what Oklahoma State does. We'll see what Oklahoma does. We'll see what Kansas State does. There's other different things along the way. But we were talking about how convoluted and confusing the tiebreaker is in the Big 12 and how absurd the writing of the wording of it, I should say, of the tiebreaker when there's a three-way tie. That it reads, head-to-head, best cumulative win percentage in games among tied teams. If not, comma, every tied team has played each other, comma, go to step 2. Again, if not, every tied team has played each other, go to step 2. It's an absurd way of wording a tiebreaker because it leaves a lot of confusion. It's vague, and everybody's interpretation was correct. That because Oklahoma and K-State did not play each other, the tiebreaker would not be a head-to-head. It would just simply be the best record against teams that they have all played against the highest-ranked teams. And it would result in K-State getting the tiebreaker if all of these things, a bunch of other things happen, right? K-State wins out, Oklahoma State wins out, Oklahoma wins out, KU beats Cincinnati. Because if KU loses to Cincinnati, it changes a number of things too. So KU beats Cincinnati, and the 3 teams win out. Then K-State would get the tiebreaker. But that's no longer the case. Barry Trammell, writing yesterday, saying, last week I corresponded with a Big 12 source to get clarification on what that tiebreaker meant. Our exchange kept confusing me, but I eventually was told, even the exchange was still confusing him.
The exchange was confusing him.
But eventually I was told that because OU and K-State did not play each other, Oklahoma State's sweep of the Sooners and Wildcats was nullified. Then Monday, I was told by the Big 12 source that our Saturday night communication caused further discussion in the conference office, leading to clarification, which is scheduled to be presented to the Big 12 athletic directors in a conference call Wednesday. The original 3-way tiebreaker interpretation is no longer, at least the way it's going to be presented to ADs. They have clarified now they will apply the head-to-head tiebreaker when more than 2 teams are tied. If one team is unbeaten against the other tied teams, that team advances. So, as of Monday, November 13th, the tiebreaker did not include head-to-head results against the other 2. It seems as of Wednesday, November 15th, that is now changed. Now, here's the way, here's the crazy part about this whole thing, and this is where it's the color of fabric you root for. This pisses K-State fans off, and I get it, because the rules are changed midseason. If K-State had beaten Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, it would be, you're damn right, this is the way that it should be. On-field results should matter. Oklahoma State is saying on-field results matter. Oklahoma and K-State are saying, whoa, hold on. This is not, we didn't really try to win that game because we didn't think the tiebreaker mattered for them. The way we interpreted the tiebreaker, we didn't even have to beat Oklahoma State. Now you're saying we got to go back in time and approach that game completely differently. Like, no, this is the way that it was written. This is how it should be this year. You can't just change rules and tiebreakers in the middle of the season. I understand that part of it. I do. I totally understand that part of it. But logical minds can understand why it should have been this way from the beginning if a team beat the other 2. There's no need for a step 2 or step 3 tiebreaker. The tiebreaker has already been exhausted, and that team that is 2-0 moves on. And look, I picked K-State to play in the Big 12 championship game. I'd certainly like to be right on that. I said on Monday, K-State's going to be playing for the Big 12 championship, and I hope they beat Texas on the way out for the Longhorns. And then Texas loses, a few weeks after that in the Cotton Bowl to Mizzou. It'd be great if that's the case. This is how it should have been all along. I understand the frustration. I do. I totally understand the frustration. But this feels like a perfect description of which color of the fabric you root for in the way you view the, using air quotes, clarification, which is not a clarification. The clarification would be, oh no, the way that is written poorly, but it is head-to-head. No, the clarification is, yeah, you're right. Those three teams all didn't play each other, so it does go to the other tiebreakers. We are just going to change that and clarify it further so that Oklahoma State will go. If they win, they still have to win the next 2 weeks.
And as Mick so eloquently said on Monday, they lost to a space school. they got their teeth beat in by a space school. So you say, hey, well, these newcomers, it's unfortunate that they end their season with UCF, Houston, and BYU. Not exactly a ton of firepower found there. Well, UCF found some for Oklahoma State on Saturday. So there's still a door open. But if you're a K-State fan, and if you want to spend like the next month just wailing on the Big 12 for needing to have a moment like this to clarify something, this is not the craziest thing that's ever happened in college football standings. 3 teams being tied for the second slot and a trip to your championship game is not 6 teams being tied and a 3-game season. Like, this is something you need to be prepared for, and the fact that there was this much confusion and that it's so convoluted and that we're debating the spot of a comma and a clarification / change, all of that. If you want to berate the Big 12 for that being in the state it was when we all had to learn about it, that's fair game. They screwed that up from a linguistic standpoint, and it's really a shame that it seems like it's all changing in real time for a season that is way, way, way closer to the end than in the beginning. It's very frustrating, and I totally get that. But like you said, if you were able to remove the colors and the names and the jerseys and all of that, and you have this exact situation, I think every football fan who has watched this sport and understands how things like tiebreakers typically work in ideal circumstances, you would say, well, no, that the team that beat these other 2 teams, they should get the nod. And it's not even like, again, if it was another degree convoluted, if 2 of these teams played one of each other and one of these teams played 2 of these teams and one of them didn't, you could get several layers into the inception of all of this and get to the point where say, hey, this is too confusing, too many transitive properties, let's do total points or whatever, right? Like those, step 3 and 4 of your tiebreaker, that's not what's happening here either. This is pretty straightforward. The only place that seemed confused by it was the Big 12. And that's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate for Kansas State. And frankly, wouldn't bother me at all if Houston or BYU decided to go ahead and end their first Big 12 campaigns with a little win over Oklahoma State. I'd be just fine with that. But it should be Texas, Oklahoma State as things stand now.
Whoever wrote that should probably never write any rules.
It was Bob Bowlesby.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it Jeff Long? I knew it.
He was uniquely qualified.
Les Miles was like, what if we just throw in a comma here?
Brett
Let's
Yormark's tiebreaker was all in a TikTok, actually.
Let's really make it crazy.
He's a cool
wild
commissioner.
card. He's the wild card. You never know. They're just throwing commas everywhere. Commas are important. What's the other thing is let's go eat grandma?
Yeah.
Let's go eat, comma, grandma. Comma's important. It changes a lot of things.
Commas really do matter.
Yes, that's right. Les Miles is like, let's throw a comma in there. Let's get crazy. Let's see what happens. Let's see if anybody actually reads the rule book.
Patrick Mahomes got bit by a comma issue. Is that when Aaron Rodgers got hurt?
Yeah, he did, and you tweeted it out.
I was a real grammar police on that one.
Yeah, but
what did he hate that man?
Hate that man.
Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and Patrick Mahomes tweeted, "Hate that man,"
and then edited,
and then he edited it to "Hate that, man." Praying for the best,
man, and then he edited it to "If not, every tied team has played each other, go to step 2."
The Jets will be good this year, and unless Zach Wilson, comma, has to play multiple games, comma. But if Aaron Rodgers has an Achilles injury, comma, he could return as early as, comma, the back third of the season, comma, but probably won't, period.
My son's like, I see no issue with this, Dad.
This is all fine.
We are learning about commas, and what I'm learning about commas is they are just thrown randomly.
Yeah.
Just randomly thrown in there, and let's see what happens. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we'll talk with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, coming up at 11 o'clock. A lot of stuff to talk with her about. The Bills making their changes to offensive coordinator. Ken Dorsey is out. He's out. Buffalo and Cincinnati both around 33% chance of making the playoffs. Either make it, neither make it, one or the other. How much can teams improve? Their numbers after the bye week of, historically speaking, teams getting better on one side of the football or not after a bye week, and you got a little bit of time because the Chiefs certainly are looking for market improvement on the offensive side of the football. So we'll talk with Cynthia about those things and many, many others. Also, Kendall Gammon today at noon instead of a Friday. So we'll hang out in studio with Kendall Gammon coming up at noon. More Zone next.
She's done the research.
I measured the big boys' booties for like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce is done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We will talk with Kendall Gammon. He'll be hanging out with us in the noon hour. Typically on a Friday, we talk with former Chiefs long snapper, greatest long snapper in the history of the NFL. We will talk with him coming up at noon. He'll hang out in studio with us as he is now back from his trip to Europe with Germany and Switzerland and wherever else he ended up. I'm not sure. But we do get a chance right now to talk with Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network, analytics expert, joining us here in the zone on a Wednesday. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I don't think the Chiefs could feel any better, Cynthia, not having to play. And let's see. Let's go through the roll call here. Ravens, Bills, Bengals, Jags, Chargers, all losing on a week the Chiefs were off. I don't think they could have had a Christmas wish come true better than that.
Last week certainly seemed like the week where there were so many close finishes, and you had a lot of teams that you were like, okay, guess we don't know anything about the AFC at all.
That's right. And those teams losing at home. Not only losing, but those home games. It's just amazing. And it's also just amazing about the NFL. And really, maybe it's the AFC. Maybe it's just showing how we've talked about how difficult the AFC is this year going into it. And we've talked about teams that are at the top. But I don't know. We discussed that before the season, and then things like that happen, and there's sort of a surprise that they take place and go, man, how did that happen? How did this happen? How did that happen? It's like, well, remember our conversation before the season. We talked about how difficult a 17-game season would be on this side of the conferences.
Yeah, it's very interesting, especially I'm going to have to rerun on Tuesday nights. I run like all of my models after all the games are over. Monday night into Tuesday morning. Tuesday night I go through the first injury reports. Well, now we've got Deshaun Watson out for the rest of the season, and that actually changes the AFC playoff. It doesn't really affect the Chiefs, but for the guys at the sort of the tail end of this Browns season, that makes such a huge difference. It really helps the Steelers. It really helps the Ravens. It even helps the Bengals. But, it's super interesting how, we kind of forget that, these one or two players make such a huge difference.
Yeah, and Cleveland has already played Baltimore twice, and Cincinnati, they played them to start the season. So the benefits of one of those teams, playing them twice without Deshaun Watson. Well, some did play them without Deshaun Watson, but still, right. The Bengals will have that at the end of the season, and it's going to be. The AFC North is going to be crazy as this thing wraps up, and which teams, if any, but one or two or whoever may miss the playoffs and might be a game away from winning the division. Who knows what'll take place there? But Buffalo ends up losing on Monday night, and this was a surprise, but then also. We talked about it on Monday on the show. We're like, well, the way this weekend is gone, the only thing left to have happen is the Broncos go into Buffalo and win on a last-second field goal as time expires, because that will only be appropriate as well for just to cap off how great the weekend was. It's surprising, but what did you see from that game as to how the Broncos win that one there? And is it all about the Buffalo Bills turnovers? Is that really just – it comes down to if the Bills turn the ball over, they look like that. If they don't, they look like the team against the Miami Dolphins. And if they can turn that faucet off, then the Bills are just fine.
Well, if they look like that and their defense plays the way that their defense plays. Now, I know their defense looked better last week or this past Monday, but look at their defense the games prior. So if you're going to turn over the ball like that often, and especially in that part of the field, you're going to get punished if your defense can't really help you. And they're so banged up on defense. Even adding Rasul Douglas is not going to be enough. Even adding maybe Von Miller's getting healthier, it looks like it at least, not going to be enough. When you lose pretty much the entire spine of your defense, I mean, obviously, Micah Hyde is not on IR or lost for the season, but he wasn't playing in that game. You had DeMar Hamlin come in, which, he hasn't even been active for more than 3 games this season. So the truth is your defense is actually, even though it looks better against the Broncos, your defense needs to play a lot better if you're going to have that many turnovers.
They've got 9 turnovers in the 4 games, 13 turnovers in their last 6 games in which they are 2-4 in those games. Is this that they fire Ken Dorsey? Well, I'll start with this. They fire Ken Dorsey. Is that the issue? That Ken Dorsey was the problem and something going on offensively? Because certainly seems like the analytics community and some of the advanced stats would say offense doesn't seem like an issue, and Ken Dorsey's offense doesn't seem like it's an issue. But what do they accomplish? Is he just the sacrificial lamb that something has to happen and McDermott has to make some sort of a change for change's sake, and Ken Dorsey's the guy that has to fall on the sword?
Well, I mean, look, what's he going to do? Fire himself? Think about it, right? Like, Leslie Frazier already works with me. He's my coworker at the NFL Network. So they're already kind of in a position where, there were limited moves you could make to change anything. And, something's got to give because, ownership will ask for, well, what are you doing to change this? How are you? We just broke ground on a massive new stadium. How are you going to make it that's filled every single week? And they're saying, well, I'm going to fire the OC, and that's going to, you just have limited options when you're already calling plays on defense. You are the defensive coordinator, so it's hard to kind of justify that through analytics. Certainly not Ken Dorsey's fault that Josh Allen's turning over the ball. However, they probably need to come up with some new tricks in order to, make sure that the, cannon that is Josh Allen in both good and bad ways gets under control.
What do you look at? You've been around this Bills team and preseason and things like that. What's happened to this team from, the divisional round game, and Josh and I talked about that maybe 13 seconds broke them. I don't know. But that divisional round game when it looked like they were heading to the AFC Championship game to host the Bengals. And again, I still contend the Bills win that game and win the Super Bowl if those 13 seconds don't happen. But that's life and that's reality, and that's why you play the game and you play for, 4 quarters and 60 minutes and all of that. But they've gone from that team that was just seemed like a juggernaut to then last year sort of finding their way through, getting by Miami with Skylar Thompson and then, laying an egg against the Bengals, to this year maybe not making the playoffs. Is this the continual trend for the Bills?
And by maybe you mean it's going to be against the odds if the Bills make the playoffs. I mean, right now I'm looking at their probabilities in my models, and I'm actually more centric than many models out there, meaning my stuff will look more favorable for a team that's not on the right side of that because everything goes more towards the middle. And I have them in like the 30%. So only 1 out of 3 times they make the playoffs in the kind of simulating out the future. It's wild. The difference is it just shows you how slim these margins are. You drop a game against the Jets, that's ridiculous. You drop a game against the Patriots, that's ridiculous. You drop a game against the Broncos, which is unnecessary, right? Like, Broncos played well. I'm not taking anything away from the Broncos or even the Jets in that first game. But, you have to find ways to recognize that the margin for error, especially in the AFC, is just so narrow this season that you can't get away with reindeer tricks and expect that to be a recipe for making it to the postseason. It's not the NFC South.
Is this is the window closing or closed for the Bills in this sort of iteration of the team that had been Super Bowl favorites, one of the Super Bowl favorites out of the AFC the last 3-4 years?
I don't mean to sound mean to the Bills, but they still got Josh Allen, so you still got hope. But I'm starting to get a little, if I had a in this season, in the trends this season, where defenses really need to, this year we've seen scoring is down, which means defenses, there's always a pendulum, swings back and forth. Defenses now are more important. They're impacting wins more this season than in the 3 or 4 seasons prior. This is what always happens in the league, right? Offenses make a move, and then the checkmate, checkmate. You keep going back and forth, a chess game. And now we're in defensive mode. And with this defense being the way it is, and it's like if you can run all over a defense, it's really hard to make stops. And if your red zone defense is not able to contain you're going to have a hard time. And if your offense turns the ball over and basically gives teams red zone opportunities, you're going to have a really hard time. However, hope isn't all lost because you do have Josh Allen and he is there. And some of the things indicate that you do have you can make it right, but their schedule sucks. If you're a Bills fan, that schedule is punishing. It's terrible. So it's dicey. It's dicey.
Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. You mentioned the simulations that you've run for the rest of the season. Buffalo's in the 30s, 30% to make the playoffs. I've seen Cincinnati around 34, 35%. Not sure what it is for yours, but these are two teams that we thought would be in the divisional round game or one of the two, or heck, maybe both of them in the AFC Championship game because they are that good. And now there's a pretty decent chance, Cynthia, that not only just one, but that both of Buffalo and Cincinnati will miss the playoffs. What are your models seeing from Cincinnati and their path to making it to the final 7 in the AFC?
So I do have. So the good thing if you're a Bengals fan, which obviously no one listening probably a Bengals fan, but the reality for them is those second order effects, meaning the tiebreakers, all of the different things that are important in terms of determining your it's going to be so close at the margins, but because the Browns are now looking a little worse off, that could be helpful for them, not just in the head-to-heads, but in the second order effects, right? The opportunity, the tiebreakers, et cetera. They have a really tough path as well, incredibly tough. I have them a lot higher than the Bills at like 42 or 43 percentage points, which doesn't seem that much different than 30, but it's still under 50.
Yeah.
But it's not great, but I guess it's it's probably significantly more likely than the Bills. I don't know if that's
yeah.
It's like, hey, which is worse, this thing or this thing that's like maybe slightly less worse?
Yeah, right. I mean, either way, more than half of the times that the season plays out, the Bengals will be out of the playoffs. With the math brain that you have, Josh and I were talking about this yesterday, and there's so many different things that we couldn't quantify just by looking at it. But is there a percentage of both teams missing the playoffs? If Cincinnati's 42, 43%, Buffalo around 30%, is there a percentage of times where both Buffalo and Cincinnati end up missing the playoffs?
I haven't run that specifically for it. However, I can tell you based on kind of the past when it's been the slotting that they've been in, meaning like the order that they're, right now it's not like one's at number 8 and only like 2 percentage points out. It feels like I would imagine that it's probably closer to like somewhere around that both of them miss. It's probably in the 40s, I would imagine. So a good, in the 50s rather, closer to 60, which would mean, 2/3 of the time, closer to 2/3 of the time, both don't make it, which is wild.
Yeah, so closer to 60% that both Buffalo and Cincinnati are out of the playoffs.
Yep.
If you're guessing now, not with the models or the percentage or anything, just from what you've seen, schedule, etc., would you guess that both make it, one of the two make it, or neither end up making the playoffs with these final, 8 weeks of the season?
I feel like one will make it, not because of the math, but because something strange will happen. Maybe Joe Burrow will decide to play like the Joe. It's not on him, but the problem that they have is both of their pass rushers are out. They really needed this win would have been huge. This win would be huge for them Thursday. It's not that it isn't going to happen, but knocking off the Ravens in one would be a massive win. So while I don't know if that's going to happen, I think it's going to be that would go a long way to help them out. Let's just put it that way.
We can wake up Friday morning, Cynthia, and the Bengals, Bills, and Raiders would all be 5-5. That is a really weird world in the NFL to live in. And one of those teams has fired their head coach. They're sitting 5-5.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's just-
I mean, yeah, it's a straight, like, that's the AFC for you, though, because when I look at, like, the distribution of playoff odds for the NFC and the AFC, there's so many teams right at that middling mark that are in the hunt, whereas the NFC, we're already starting to see, like, there are some teams that really don't, like, more than, right now it's pretty much just, like, the Patriots that really have, and, there's, like, 3 teams that really don't have a true chance at it, and the NFC, it's, like, a lot. A lot more than that.
NFC, it's pretty much the conference.
We should be watching the games, but,
Yes.
it would take a lot.
Cynthia Freeland is our guest NFL Network analytics expert. How does the model and some of the percentages factor in superstitions like wearing the same underwear every game for your career like Patrick Mahomes? Is there a way to incorporate that, Cynthia?
No.
Okay.
Also, there's no Taylor Swift metric either. Just
well,
in case anyone,
what's
that
the
one.
point?
That one's a.
What's the point then? I mean,
Shoot.
there should be
Right.
like Taylor in attendance or not in attendance. We've seen some of the raw numbers, but
Yep.
what that does for Travis Kelce or whatever. Certainly, we've seen the crazy analytics of like the Q rating and all of the searches and stuff like that. Like she changed the lyric to the song, and like the hour and a half or 2 hours after that, like Chiefs tickets worldwide shot up like 200% in searches for Chiefs tickets
Crazy.
worldwide. Like she changed the lyric from screen to Chiefs, and that's the impact it has. It's just unreal what's going on with
It's
with
like
that whole
this.
thing.
It's like the thing that Texas A&M has with their firing their coaches, right? There was a really funny meme that was put out the night before Jimbo Fisher got fired with the oil price. Like
That's right.
the difference in oil price is very predictive of whether or not Texas A&M will fire their coach, which is hilarious.
Well,
That one I think is actually funnier.
Yeah, we called it on Monday. That's not the Board of Regents; it's the barrel of Regents, because it depends on the price of the barrel
Exactly.
for oil. If they're firing somebody or hiring somebody, that's correct. I remember back in 2016. Yeah, it would have been 2016. There was talk about Mark Stoops being fired, and they couldn't go around and raise the money because there was an unknown about the election in November and what coal would do, because Kentucky's a lot of coal money, and UK,
Oh my
that's
goodness.
all their alumni and everything. It's coal money. I mean, the Kentucky basketball facilities are called the Friends of Coal facilities at UK. So it was, are they going to fire Mark Stoops? And it was literally, they can't right now because we don't know what's going to happen to coal at the election in November.
I know. I love it.
It's
I love this random stuff.
It's crazy, like all of these real world stuff that might impact like what happens with us playing in the sandbox of life in sports. Like unbelievable. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. You had a really interesting stat, or at least you retweeted it, from the Bills and Browns, the number 1 team in total defense and the number 2 team in total defense matching up since the merger in 1970. It's happened 13 times. And the team that's number 1 in total defense is 12-1 in those matchups.
Wild.
Is that just noise? Is
That's
it
wild.
crazy? Like, there's got to be something to that, right?
I mean, the funny part is, first of all, the fact that it's happened 13 times is kind of crazy, because usually, you get to be the number 1 or number 2 defense by playing crappier teams, so you wouldn't imagine them being on the same side of the conference, let alone the same division.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that that's happened, but there's probably something there where, you'd have to go look and see who was favored ahead of time. But, it's trying to find something positive. I try to find something positive for every team, right? And the Browns in that case are like, well, this is pretty overwhelmingly interesting. It's a small sample size. It's only happened 13 times. But I do think that there's probably something to maybe like never underestimating the importance of defense, because people, especially in this season, we've seen a few years where offense seem to matter a lot more. And this year, that has all caught up with us.
Yeah, no doubt. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. So the Chiefs have the bye week, and outside of the Andy Reid winning games after the bye week stat that's always out there,
God.
which is just infinity to, a few numbers. The team's improving from what they looked like before to after the bye week. Is there anything quantifiable to that, and how much teams can improve from pre or post bye week? Because a lot of the discussion last week, Cynthia, and this week is going to be, how can the Chiefs improve their offense? What can they do? Is it unleashing Rashee Rice and getting Kadarius Toney in the game more? He played 7 snaps against the Dolphins. Is it relying on Pacheco and the run game a little bit more? Is it just improved play from Patrick Mahomes? Is it getting Taylor Swift to more games? Like all of these different things that are being discussed as to how the Chiefs can improve their offense. Is there something where you look at over the years that a team before or after a bye week, there is some sort of an improvement that happens in some portion of their team?
Well, the interesting part is, there's kind of 2 forces at play here. First is, when does your bye week happen relative to your injuries? Because there's always a time in the season when you have more injuries versus when you have fewer injuries. So it's hard to take the information and say this is team improvement or this is also health improvement. But you do see trend-wise over the course of a season, when you have a moment with a coach who knows how to design offenses, right? Like especially offensive-minded head coaches, you do see a good and marked increase in how they're able to come up with new things after their bye. And defenses often, it tends to be that defenses often get better at the things that they do. Now, I will say this is a really great opportunity against the Eagles, who have some holes in their defense that could help make the things that the Chiefs have been looking to do more attainable. Meaning, when you look to see that, like how often, like Chiefs receivers have been open or not named Travis Kelce. So Chiefs wideouts, if you're looking just at the wideouts, not at Travis Kelce or at the running backs, the Chiefs wideouts have been targeted wide open, meaning at least 3 yards of separation at 75.8% of targets, meaning like everyone else is drawing coverage away from down to Travis Kelce or the pass catching backs or whoever's on those closer routes. Perhaps it's time to unleash the Mahomes, right? Like no other team, by the way, the next closest team is under 70%, like 69.6 or 5 or something like that.
So what does that tell you then for this team? That the wide receivers are or aren't doing their job, or is it maybe the pass rush win rate is awesome, or for a pass block win rate is awesome for the Chiefs? What does it tell you if you look at the 76% of the wide open receivers of 3 yards or more?
I would say it's telling me that the plays are there, but the chemistry hasn't formed yet. And perhaps we've now come to the point in the year where it's time to. I would imagine if you were to kind of like I can't go in someone's brain, but perhaps the few drops that happened early in games this season spooked maybe the whole offense, and perhaps it's time to unleash them home. Do you know what I mean? Like let's try to re-improve that trust again, because they're open.
Yeah, just a reset button. That, all right, what's been going on this year? Reset, get back to just, okay, this is the read, this is the throw, trust they're open, throw the ball, get it there, and see what happens and get rolling again, hopefully.
Yeah, well, and also, especially against the linebackers. So the secondary for the Eagles have had some questions. They did get better. Kevin Byard is a good add there. But if you look at the linebackers, if you look at the next-gen stats that shows you what happens when a receiver or a pass catcher is targeted at the deep linebacker position, so not close to the line of scrimmage, but those intermediate passes. That's an area Patrick Mahomes has been great. They've allowed a 6.0 completion percentage over expected. That ranks 30th in the NFL. Don't worry about the explicit number and the 6%. Look at the ranking, 30th. So target the wide open receivers where the linebackers aren't covering them. That's my prescription.
Interesting. Yes, some would say more cowbell. Whatever it takes, just get it done against the Eagles for the Chiefs. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. What some people have also said just rely on the run game a little bit more with Isaiah Pacheco, get him involved. But the run block win rate is like 20th in the NFL for the Chiefs, where pass block win rate, they're first in the NFL. Is it a matter of, okay, just run the ball more, or against light boxes, they aren't running it well. So it's not like they're just not running it against light boxes. They're just not executing. So does handing it off more mean there's better execution? Is it as simple as rely on Pacheco a little bit more, running the football, and that's how you can get the offense going?
perhaps it's disguise the looks pre-snap that are going to Pacheco in a different way because, teams are really watching your film and watching every, preseason, week 3, last year, you did this, blah, 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 that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you command that kind of respect when you're this type of offense. And while it's annoying to watch, all you're really seeing there is the fact that teams are like, we're not going to let this guy run on us, right? The Jags got smoked last week by the 49ers, but they didn't let Christian McCaffrey score. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're really respecting one thing perhaps too much. And they're saying, if we don't let him run, we're going to force him to throw to these receivers who we saw drop the ball week 1 against the Lions,
Yeah, that's interesting. Last one for you, Cynthia. What do you think happens in the Chiefs and the Eagles game on Monday night? Chiefs now 3-point favorites. It's moved a half point towards the Chiefs.
Let me be clear. My mother will be here, and I want my neighbors to all, I know they can't hear me because this is in Kansas City, but, my neighbors are going to have to beware because, she's going to be loud and proud. But I think that we'll end up happy and have a good Thanksgiving week. I think 3 points is about right. I do think it's a 27-24 outcome, perhaps 27-23. I would lean towards the side of the Chiefs, really being ready for this one. Not to say that the Eagles won't be ready, and they have a Swift too, which I think is kind of funny. They have a Kelsey and a Swift.
Kelsey Swift,
but
that's right. Yeah.
I think in Arrowhead, these fans show up. It's going to be loud. We've seen some vulnerabilities, especially on this Eagles defense, and the Chiefs defense, which is allowing about a touchdown less per game this season. That is going to be a massive difference maker. Stop A.J. Brown. Don't give him man coverage. Let's don't do that. He's awesome against man.
So you'll be hanging out with your mom, watching her grandson out there playing against
I will.
the Eagles.
Yes, I'll be hanging out with my mom. I'll be wearing earmuffs because, good Lord, this woman can yell. And she'll be watching because she has to cheer for her grandson, of course.
That's right. Grandson being Patrick Mahomes, in her mind. In her mind, yes.
Correct, and no one else's. Yes.
Certainly not her children. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, as always, really appreciate the time. Enjoy the football, and we will talk next week leading into Thanksgiving.
Perfect. Have a great weekend. I like that we saved the best game of the week for last. It's
I
like
agree
dessert.
with that. Totally. That's exactly. It's the pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie, whatever you prefer.
Whatever your preference is.
That's exactly right.
Dessert.
That's exactly right. Cynthia, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Absolutely. There's Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Great stuff from her. And if you missed last week's conversation, or was it the week before? Either one. She had talked about her mom, huge Patrick Mahomes Chiefs fan, and calls Patrick Mahomes her grandson, which doesn't sit well with her children because, as Cynthia said, how old do you think I am, Mom? Your grandson? No. Yeah, maybe your son, maybe my little brother. But yeah, so her mom will be screaming and yelling for the Chiefs against the Eagles, and maybe Taylor Swift's family will be doing the same thing. Since, he is wearing a Chiefs lanyard, was Taylor Swift's dad. That's an Eagles fan rocking a Chiefs lanyard. Eagles' heart's breaking wide open all over this town tonight. It's like when Rocky lost to Clubber Lang. It's just it's rough, man. Not feeling good. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. Kendall Gamble will join us in studio coming up at noon. We'll talk some college football. We talked a little bit about the Big 12 tiebreakers. We'll see when that revised, not clarified, revised Big 12 tiebreaker will be presented to the ADs at some point today, and we'll see if there's any news that'll come out or when that's actually going to be presented, and we'll see if it's going to be rubber stamped or not. We'll find that out. In talking with Cynthia Freeland there, the previous segment, you may have heard when she said Deshaun Watson out for the season. He has a fracture in his shoulder, and they feel like surgery is needed immediately to eliminate any structural damage long term. So he is out for the year. DTR will be their starting quarterback the rest of the way, while their backup in early or late July is the starting quarterback for the Vikings, playing really well in Joshua Dobbs. So they nailed that one. They are just killing it with quarterbacks right now.
They had a franchise quarterback on their roster. They did get one. And they traded him away for nothing. He
apparently hurt the shoulder in the second quarter and ended up still staying in the game and playing. So, good for him. I'm just guessing somebody probably told him to leave the game, and he refused to listen to anybody tell him no. But it'll be DTR now moving forward for the Cleveland Browns. So there you go. There's your information on the NFL.
From this point forward, I feel like I am capable of talking about the Browns in a fair and responsible way.
Yeah.
If they make a playoff run without their bajillion-dollar terrible quarterback or their excellent and highly paid number one running back who had a better argument as a running back who matters than just about any other running back in the league. A couple guys at that level, but basically no one really as excellent for in this recent era as Nick Chubb. They're in a playoff spot right now. If they can get competent game management out of DTR, it's not like the rest of it's not the Dolphins' offense. I mean, it's a good group. But if they can just cobble together some offensive successes while the defense eats, that's a hell of a year for that entire coaching staff. And I don't know, I've reevaluated that team and the decision makers on that team many times for many reasons. But that really would be incredibly impressive.
Yeah, and we'll see if they do that. Number one defense in the NFL, and that strange stat that Cynthia had tweeted out after the Browns and Ravens game, that since the merger in 1970, the number one defense versus the number two defense have matched up 13 times. The number one defense in the game is 12-1. That team is 12-1. There's got to be something there, but it also feels random at the same time. Like 12, it's number one versus number two. It's not like when you see number one defense versus number one offense. Right. The number one whatever side is 12-1. Like, all right, I can glean something from that. Then this is more important than that throughout the years. Now, was it in 1975 that 5 of these matchups happened? Was it in 2021 when some of these matchups happened? Was it in 2020 when there were some COVID things going on? Like some context to it, but it's just an odd sort of thing there with that. I want to hear from Trent McDuffie and also Travis Kelce. They were not on the same podcast. They were on separate podcasts. Trent McDuffie was on the Adam Schefter podcast, and Travis Kelce was on, he was a guest on the New Heights podcast.
Yeah, Jason Kelce's show.
The Jason Kelce podcast. He
oh,
had,
man, it would be so funny if it was just called the Jason Kelce. Really, they should change every week. It's the whatever Kelce show featuring the other Kelce. Something like
funny.
With special guest Travis Kelce.
New Heights with Travis Kelce and special guest Jason.
Jason Kelce.
Next week,
Just
New Heights
Jason.
with Jason Kelce with special guest Travis. Anyway, you have the throat of this. I have not heard this clip.
There was quite a bit of conversation in today's New Heights about the bye weeks for both of these guys, with Jason being on Amazon and going out for Thursday Night Football. And
they both traveled somewhere.
Yeah, getting razzed outside of a hot dog place. Those are all things that really happened in Jason's bye week. But in Travis's bye week, he went to Argentina. Their whole conversation about it's like 5 or 6 minutes, so the very beginning is not included in this clip, but the beginning of the conversation is hilarious because there's just like a pause, and Jason goes, "We got to talk about it," and Travis interrupts. Like, why do you always kick off this portion of the conversation like it's painful to discuss? What makes you think I wouldn't want to talk about this?
It's like 6 weeks in a row that Jason Kelce has said something to Travis going, "We got to talk about it.
We got to talk about hey, Travis knows he's ready for it and used to all of it now."
They actually should change. They should have a bit there somewhere. You know, they do new news.
Yes.
And No Dumb Question should be, all right, let's get into it. We got to talk about it.
We got to talk about it. That's actually trademarked because I do think that is Tyreek Hill's podcast's name.
It needed to be talked about.
We got to talk about it is a better podcast name than it needed to be said by quite a bit. It just rolls off the tongue a little better.
Really?
But I think Jason's question is at the beginning here when they really get into some of the nitty-gritty and the experience that Travis Kelce had in Argentina this week.
How does it feel to officially be the guy on the Chiefs?
You mean Karma?
Karma, that's right.
Yeah, no, I had no clue that, well, I might have had a little bit of a clue, but definitely when I heard it come out of her mouth, still shocked me. And
yeah, you could tell in the video.
I was like,
it was pretty.
Oh, she really just said that.
You were so shocked you left Scott hanging. Scott's over here looking for a high five.
Yeah, Mr. Swift, I apologize, big guy. Oh, man, I missed that. I never miss a high five, too. Big high five guy. It's the most electric thing you can do at an event. And so, sorry, Mr. Sweet.
He even had your Chiefs lanyard on.
Got him over here to the good side, baby.
Scott.
You know what I'm saying?
What are we doing, Scott?
Just one by one, getting all the good ones. Come on over.
You're going to let this man's devilishly good looks and relationship with your daughter sway you from a lifetime of fandom, Scott? This is ridiculous.
Man, I might have persuaded him at dinner the night before when I met him.
No, did you?
Maybe. Who knows? He's a huge football guy.
Is he?
He played college ball. I believe a year at Hawaii and then a year or two, or I forget how long he was at Delaware. But I would think he was a linebacker turned center.
He's pretty tall,
ironically enough. Yeah, he's a tall guy, about 6'2".
Yeah, you don't see
I think,
that.
I think it was linebacker turned center, or center and linebacker. It was a kind of dual.
We'll have to get together and talk
position.
some center shop one day.
All right, now. For those of you who haven't seen all the videos of me on your TikTok and your Instagram feed, I was enjoying myself down there in Buenos Aires. The show was even more electric, knowing that I had a little bit more to enjoy for. And yeah, Taylor absolutely ripped it. She killed it. And it looked like she was having some fun up there.
What else did you do outside of just the show? Did you guys go out to eat?
We got some good food, man. Had some empanadas and steak. They're big on all the different
beef
cuts of meat. Yeah, got some good steak down there, man. Yeah, it was the first night I was there. Really, the only night we had a chance to go to dinner was the night the show got postponed. So we didn't want to just go and have a blast throughout the city like we didn't care about the show. So we made sure we stayed in the hotel and kind of kept to ourselves, man.
Oh, good for them.
I left that part in.
Just they didn't want to just travel around the city. They just wanted to
keep it low key,
stay in their hotel, just keep it to themselves there.
I bet they had the nicest room a Motel 8 could possibly give them.
I think it was one of those to where it was on the out. You just walk right into the
yes,
the room.
Yes, absolutely.
They
but you know what? They've got money. Maybe they got two rooms side by side that has one of those doors in the middle that you can lock or unlock, so you can go ahead and pass between the two rooms.
Also, I mean, we joke, but if you're Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, you can't really just go around and see the city.
No, you can't. You can't.
There's some good things and there's some bad things. The good thing is money will never be an issue for you. Money is like air.
Yes.
It will never run out for you, okay? You will never be in a small little container going down to the Titanic.
That's right.
Okay, if you're Taylor Swift, billions of dollars, you've got money forever. And
although Travis Kelce is one step closer to going to space, another development from New Heights, SpaceX apparently emailed him and offered to look into that. So just go ahead. Well, you mentioned the submarine thing.
If he marries Taylor Swift, he'll have the money to go to space.
It seems like he may right now have the fame to go to space on someone else's money, which is also pretty cool.
It's amazing. Once you're rich enough to afford it, that's when you get it for free. I mean, only in America, right? I don't think they can really go out and just enjoy the city, right? It'd be like, okay, we've got this amazing hotel that's probably 2 or 3 stories, and let's just enjoy the hotel room because that's really the only way that we won't be just bombarded and annoyed and flashes going on the whole time or we can't see and everything. You got the little bubbles that, you close your eyes and you're waiting for those things to go away. That would be annoying constantly. Those flashes, it's terrible. So yeah, that's great. He left Taylor Swift's dad hanging, certainly. He went for the high five and Travis's hands went to his face.
I think he's clear on this one.
Oh, I think he's totally clear on this one.
I think Scott has 2 hands up. He's like a woo!
Like a touchdown.
Like a field goal signal, touchdown signal.
Yeah, referees
hands
aren't
up.
waiting for somebody to give them a high five when they do the touchdown.
I think they heard that, and I think Scott went hands up in the air out of excitement.
Okay.
I believe his other arm's out of frame, but I believe that's what he was doing there as Travis goes hands to his face. But there's an important part in there.
Let me also take a little victory lap on this. It said on Monday with Mick in here, I said if you watch closely, I think you can see that they were tipped off there was going to be some sort of a lyric change in that song because Scott and Travis both stop and sort of Scott turns his head as if you're listening intently. Mm-hmm. And then when it happens, they both like, oh, there it is. My body language half semester majoring in body language in college, mainly anatomy. That told me that, okay, they knew something was going to happen there. Just as Travis Kelce waiting off to the side backstage with his hands behind his back, very respectful. He is all in there. I mean, he's totally all, you do your thing. You're killing it. I'm just standing over here as the supportive significant other, and you come over to me, and it's just like, oh, hey, all right, great. Let's enjoy ourselves here. So got those right. Thank you. I'll start getting predictions right eventually.
These are the types of predictions apparently you were just built for. I mean,
that's I didn't major in predicting sports for
point.
a half semester in college.
Good
Not at all.
point.
I didn't do that. So yeah, and also Taylor Swift's dad is a better man than I in his love for his daughter. I love my daughter unconditionally. But let me tell you something. She's dating a Bengals player. My ass is wearing a Chiefs lanyard. I ain't putting on a Bengals lanyard. Love you, honey. Hope it works out. Awesome. Seems like a good dude. I hope they win. But I ain't wearing it the week we're playing them, certainly.
That's a good wrinkle.
Especially when that's the team that just cost us a Super Bowl. Hell no. I love you, honey. I love you. You'll always be my princess, my baby girl. But I ain't a sellout. I'm sticking with my team.
I would
It's
sell.
Chiefs,
I
it's
would
Chiefs
sell out.
till I die.
I would sell out. I think greatest tight end of all time, greatest in their position of all time. Future Hall of Famer, international superstardom. I'm ready to go ahead and be a sellout. I think.
Yeah, if he wore an Eagles lanyard, I don't think it would mess up the relationship between Kelsey and Taylor Swift.
No, but it's an olive branch, you know.
Kelsey wears Eagles gear.
Yeah, true.
His mom wears Eagles gear.
That's right.
It's not like that's going to be, again, they're not just randomly wearing Bengals gear. Clearly, there is a distaste for Cincinnati and Kansas City, Bengals and Chiefs. There's a mutual respect, especially in the Kelsey household and the future Swift Kelsey household, about the Eagles. He didn't have to wear that. I would have loved to know the conversation that took place when he said he talked him into wearing that Chiefs lanyard.
I also am curious about that conversation.
Yeah.
I think
Did he just stand over him and sort of intimidate him? Like, you will wear that.
Because the Kelsey parents have so thoroughly nailed that little balance of we've got a kid on each team kind of thing. I think maybe Scott's just in on the Philly KC combo team kind of thing that has began to bubble into an empire of some sorts. But yeah, I think I'd be willing to sell out in that situation.
We'll see if it's a real sellout. If Scott / Mrs. Swift, I don't know her first name. I now know his name is Scott.
Yep, I learned that from this.
Along with Taylor, are there Monday night wearing Chiefs gear?
Andrea Swift.
If Andrea and Scott are in that suite on Monday night with Taylor wearing Chiefs gear, then it becomes a full-on sellout. Not just I'm going to do a favor for this guy and wear this lanyard because I just met my daughter's boyfriend for the first time and I'm being a good, future in-law, future father-in-law, future Kevin Harlan to Bobby Sight.
Maybe they go split jerseys also. Maybe the entire Kelsey and Swift family are in split jerseys.
Jason and Travis, they should do that. They should just get tips from Donna how to do it.
I think that's really what Scott's trying to follow in the footsteps of.
Okay, there you go. He can wear a Jason and a Travis. Just put Kelsey on the back and it would work.
Actually, half Travis Kelsey jersey, half DeAndre Swift jersey. Just for the sake of the name being. I mean, it's right. Maybe it's last one. Not split down the middle.
Really?
Not split down the middle. Split side to side this time. Front 87 Chiefs red, back green Swift 0.
He's got to have a Swift jersey.
I would
now.
certainly hope so.
I mean, if the Chiefs would have signed Gerald Everett, my son was going to have a Gerald Everett jersey, Chiefs jersey. He's not going to have a Chargers one.
Does he have a Morton Anderson somewhere? Or
why would he have that one?
I don't know.
His name isn't Anderson.
His name isn't Anderson Everett. No, you're right. I'm the idiot.
You dummy. I wrap things up here in this hour. Only through half the show, which means we have half of the things on our format still to talk about.
More or less.
Yeah.
Mostly more.
Probably. We'll do a lot of that with Kendall Gammon coming up next. He'll be hanging out in studio with us.
What? Really? When's
That's
he getting
right.
here?
Well, he typically gets here on a Friday.
Yeah, that'd be really weird for him to be here in studio on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm afraid he's 48 hours early.
Are we going to accommodate that? What if he gets here before noon?
I don't think he's allowed in the studio, right?
Certainly not if I'm the one manning the door. Hey, Kendall, how's it going?
Hello. Whoa!
Ah! Who let him in here?
That John Denver's full of crap, man. Right there.
Kendall, thanks for joining us.
It was a good tease.
Talk to you on Friday.
He has a different view of the world. Maybe because he spent 15 years looking at it upside down. He knows exactly how many times the ball will rotate on a long snap, and he'll juggle anything you throw at him. It's Kendall Gammon in the Zone. Brought to you by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. That's right, Kendall Gammon here on a Wednesday hanging out with us, typically on a Friday, but that is not the case this week with a Monday Night Football game with all of their press conferences going on Friday. So Kendall comes in a little bit early and hanging out with us. Thank you for doing that, Kendall. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
How's are you back
sleepy.
to the?
I'm sleepy. I'm very sleepy.
Are you back to the time, to the circadian rhythm? Have you adjusted back from European time to United States time?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Today's almost normal. Yeah,
almost normal.
Absolutely.
Well, except
but
for
that being said,
then you come in on a Wednesday.
That's assuming that I am normal at times, which is incorrect also. So I don't even know where to go with that one.
You woke up today was going to be normal. Then you come in here and you're like, wait a minute, is it Friday? I'm actually not sure. You know, as we said earlier, like we're talking to Kendall on a Wednesday because today is actually a Tuesday for the Chiefs. We typically talk to Kendall on a Friday, but Friday will be a Thursday for the Chiefs. So
who's on first and what's on second?
That's exactly right. Nailed it.
I don't know what day it is. That's the
pre-show talk that we had is doing very well right now.
It's really
Killing
helpful.
Killing it.
Yes.
How was the travel, though?
It was fabulous, absolutely. A good flight over and back, and of course the game, the energy, the excitement, everything going on. Obviously, the outcome being the number one thing. And then after that, Paige and I going down, and her son John going down to Strasbourg there a couple of days, and then Paige and I then went on down to Basel, Switzerland for a few more days, and just crazy. It was interesting. Then coming back on the train to the airport the night before we were going to leave, and Dortmund fans, which are evidently in Premier League, and a lot of very angry Germans. They had lost. They had multiple beers on the train going on, and they're speaking German as you would expect Germans to speak, and it's kind of a harsh language. I mean, it's just kind of intimidating at times. And at one point in time, one guy turns around and he's talking to Paige and I, and back and forth, and finally Paige is like, I have no idea what you're saying. And just like that, he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then and then he just starts talking American, English to American. There I go. I'm really sleepy, but he just starts talking English to us. I'm just like, that is freaking amazing. And we had a great conversation. I mean, he wasn't sober, but he wasn't drunk. He was just right somewhere in the middle,
right spot.
and had a great conversation. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't make it down to Argentina with Travis?
We weren't invited, and I don't know.
Are you the guy on the Chiefs?
I could be.
You definitely could be.
She just said Karma's a guy on the Chiefs coming straight home to me. That could be anybody.
Probably not me.
It could be anybody, though.
It could be.
I mean, that's
He's
like
not
for the
ruling it out
Chiefs.
completely, Jason.
You don't know that it's not.
Exactly.
If it was, I think we'd all be more than a little bit surprised.
that would be the that'd be the real shocker.
Yes, it would, absolutely.
This whole thing, that is awesome. I'm glad you guys got to do that and experience a little bit and travel around and do some of those things. That's really cool. I would love to do it. It's a bucket list thing to go and spend that time over in Europe and just travel and experience different cities, because I feel like, I don't know, I've never taken a trip over there, but I almost feel like it'd be wasted if we go to one city for like a week,
right?
As opposed to I'm over there for a week. I need to experience a couple of different things for a couple of days. And I know I won't be able to experience the entire city over 2 days, but just to get a feel of different places.
It is amazing. It's just all the history. And I mean, you're looking at all this stuff and the dates are like 10, 11, 1,200. I'm just like, I can't comprehend anything over 100 years old, let alone 1,000 or 1,500 years old. It really messes with me. And, we went to Strasbourg and we stayed just right next to the Notre Dame Cathedral, it was started building in like 1015 and finished in like 1400. So many questions when that happens. It's like, that's so long ago.
10:15 is a time.
And it took them 6 hours to build that thing.
Exactly right. I'm like, 300 and what years to build on? What's going on here?
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of get annoyed when it's like, it's taking me this long to mow the lawn.
Exactly. Thank you. Absolutely.
The leaves, it's taking me so long to rake up the leaves and to mulch them, and this is just ridiculous. 300 years
You're
later,
like,
they
I'm
finally
so
went.
sleepy. You want to go inside.
But at what point did they go, finished? I mean, like, wouldn't there
Exactly.
always be
They
like,
just did that. In
Last
Spain,
week?
Literally like this
The
week,
Gaudi.
the Gaudi
Gaudi.
there. We saw it from the outside. We weren't able to go in when we were there, but like 2 days ago, they just turned on the lights outside. I'll have to find the
when
exact
did they
timeline. It's
start?
hilarious.
When did they start building it?
It was
hold
hundreds
on,
of
it's
years
the-
as well, I think.
Grata Familia or something.
When I was with the Steelers, we played over their preseason game in '92, I believe. So I went to the Gaudi then, and I remember them saying that the finish date was somewhere around then. And I'm just like, what? 40 something years or 30 something years away, and then you find out how much they've been building. I'm like, oh wow, I guess they're getting close.
Wow.
They, I mean, there was construction stuff around there when we got there. The groundbreaking was on March 19th, 1882.
Wow.
And now it says on the Wikipedia page, it says completed after 2026. So apparently
was
there's
thinking,
still
yeah.
some time there. But they just like turned on the outside lights for the first time a couple days ago. I was like, all right,
really?
good enough, ready for some lights.
Interesting.
I was surprised by that.
We're breaking it all down, folks, aren't we?
The Sagrada Familia. It's where the term Gaudi comes from.
John Gotti?
Is from not John Gotti. Although if I can
Nice,
remember
though.
this,
Nice.
Anthony Gaudi.
That's where he was buried.
He has a very maximalist
that
sort of
Hoffa?
style. So
Oh man, yes, we're getting it done right now.
this is good stuff. I didn't know we were gonna.
Speaking of Teamsters, how about the fight in Congress, right? You got hearings, you got
Amazing.
challenging fights. I had a similar experience. We went to Disney World in March, and the last day we were there is when they opened up the ride Tron.
nice.
Which they had started building in like 2015 or 16.
Wow.
Excuse me.
You get to ride the cycles or
18,
anything like
15
that?
or 18. No, it was amazing. Yeah, you actually are on the
the
cycle.
cycles?
You go from 0 to like 80 miles an hour in like 2 seconds.
That's
It's that
outstanding.
fast and it takes off. It's unbelievable. And it happened to open up that day. It was like an early
Very
opening,
cool.
and you had to like get in line, those queues that are anybody who's been to Disney
Yep.
World that knows about that. My wife and I had to because we missed the morning queue.
Right.
So it was packed. It was all sold out in like 3 seconds.
Right.
So then the next queue comes at 1 o'clock, and you have to actually be at the park. The morning queue you can be wherever, but for the afternoon queue you have to be at the park that day. So she and I are sitting down. We've got our watches on, and we go to our watch that has the actual like second and hands and everything to see when it gets to right at 1 o'clock, and we're logged on, and we both refresh. We both hit Q to enter. And we both ended up getting a spot. We only needed one
Nice.
spot, so we got the queue that day. And then like 5 seconds later, there were people behind us that were like, "No!" So we just because we were watching at the second it got there.
Wow.
And so yeah, we got to
just-
ride it. It was pretty cool.
You
And
just kind of turn around and look at those folks
yeah,
like,
"Ugh, sorry,
you
about
didn't get it.
that."
That's interesting,
must-
though. You say that. The first night there, when we ate dinner, and next to 4 Germans that were in from another town, I'm not sure which one it was, and they talked about how they waited and like got online to get the tickets. We asked them how they got them. Yeah, we were on the computer for like 3 hours, and then we got picked, and we were in a room and whatever. We were so lucky, and that was interesting. But the best part of that was the fact one of the guys was a 49ers fan, and he was next to me and proceeded to tell me and the group just why the Chiefs really shouldn't have won that Super Bowl a while back.
Well, they got lucky.
and then as you would expect buddies to do, they just piled on him and just killed him with it. It was great.
Well, I mean, if Emmanuel Sanders catches that, then they win the game because apparently the last 2 minutes of the game didn't need to be played.
They don't know. It's
so-
like when you have 10 plays and one big play. Well, it's like, well, if you take that play away, I've heard some people that'll do that every once in a
No,
while.
it's dumb. I don't think you should do that. I think everything in its totality needs to be accounted for. Visiting and hanging out with Kendall Gammon. He is presented by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. 3 days from now, the playoffs, Division II start. Pitt State, the 3 seed.
Yes.
Rough couple of weeks in terms with the loss to Mo West. Could have been the number 1 seed in the bye, but things happen. And then
A very physical game in Missouri
Yeah.
Western. Yeah, I think we lost QB a little bit.
Yeah, and then
had some of them games. A great game.
Yeah, and then Mo West loses in double overtime and misses out on the playoffs this past weekend. So it's just Pitt State and Central Missouri that have made the Division II playoffs. But yeah, that home game in Pittsburgh, and then once they get past Indy, they'll probably have to head to Grand Valley State and play that one with the 2 and 3 seed playing.
They will, but Grand Valley is playing.
They're playing Ferris State.
They're playing Ferris, and
yeah, Ferris is a good team.
I was going to say, we lost to them by a couple points last year, and of course they won the national champion.
Yep.
They're 2-time defending, I think.
Yeah, so that's a tough one. So you may get Ferris State there in Pittsburgh, and get a little revenge there, and UCM, if they can pass Henderson State, they'll be heading to the number 1 seed Harding.
Yeah, exactly.
Next week, so there's a chance that UCM and Pitt State could match up for a chance to go to the. What would be Final Four?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that the MIAA is the toughest conference overall, top to bottom in Division II. And we're on the radio. We've got the voice, the mic right now, and that's what we're going with.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It would be cool though if Mo West could have won in overtime and they'd be playing Grand Valley.
Absolutely.
And it might have been Pitt State and Mo West next weekend if they both had won, but. Missouri Western would have had a real test to go up to Grand Valley and win that game, but that's not the case. So that Division II playoffs, and there's no Northwest Missouri State, which is odd.
It is. I mean, it really is. It's just one of those years.
I don't even think I'm going to watch it. I don't even care. Doesn't even matter anymore. Are they going to have the playoffs without Northwest?
They do not.
Okay,
no,
I didn't think so. This is all like hypothetical.
Absolutely.
If they were to have a Division II playoffs this year, Pitt State would be the 3 seed.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Doing well. I'm handling this much better than you have in the past.
That's right. No doubt. Kendall Gammon is our guest. All right, so let's talk some football. And obviously we have to start with Patrick Mahomes' superstition of wearing the same underwear each and every game. I do believe he washes them.
Yeah. But although you don't know that.
I don't know
assumptions.
I don't know for a fact that he washes them. I think he was playing along when he said, I wash them from time to time. If we're winning, then I don't think that's the case. I think he does wash them because at first he was serious. He was like, oh no, we wash them.
And by he, you mean he has them washed?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He throws them into the big old bucket or whatever at the end with all the jerseys and everything that the NFL players do when they're done getting dressed and throw them in there, and then they get washed. And I don't know, maybe he's got somebody else's underwear, and who knew this whole time they got switched up. But
maybe that's what happened for the Broncos game. Maybe he got Blaine Gabbert's underwear.
So many questions.
He did play like him in that game, so it did look rough in that game.
About that.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you have any superstitions?
The only superstition I had, a few. Number one, everything for me is always left or right. So it's left, shoes on, go on left or right, socks, everything. Putting your pants on, left leg in first. I don't know why. And then a lot of it had to do with the fact also in terms of the other tradition that I did, superstition, was the fact that the jerseys are so tight. So in my 7 years with the Chiefs, I never once put my jersey on myself because I really couldn't. So I went in and either Mike Davidson or Chris Shropshire, one of the two, they pulled my jersey over each and every time, and that just kind of became something. I mean, I'd walk in, and it didn't matter what was going on. It didn't matter what those two guys were doing. They would simply stop right away and pull my jersey over, then go about my business.
Are you putting your pads on first? Are you pads and then have it? Because now I think every time the jersey and pads are all one unit.
Well, they're not one unit, but
not one
guys,
unit, but they're like set up that way. It looks like in the locker room shots.
They are because they put the pads on. Then generally, lots of times I think they still do it. You have the double stick tape, and so you have that on there also. I was talking to somebody here recently, actually in Germany. I think I don't know how, but we were talking about the late Kevin Green, Pro Football Hall of Fame. I remember when I was with the Steelers, the one thing he did, he sprayed silicone, and a lot of the defensive guys sprayed silicone on their jerseys, so you couldn't grab it, whatever. And so there's just lots of different things that go on. That doesn't happen anymore, as far as you know.
The Broncos' offensive line had to go back in to the locker room 10, 15 years ago because they had Brisco on their jerseys, and the refs saw it before the game, and they had to go back in the locker room to wash the stuff off and come back, and then they checked them again because it was just so evident. It was like, they just rolled around in butter or something, and they're like, well, yeah, they kind of got caught, but it ain't like they're the only ones that are doing it. Because it was like a big story that day. Like they showed the video of the Broncos offensive linemen having to walk back into the locker room and come back out, and they're like, and some of the analysts were like, they ain't the only ones that are doing it. There's a lot of guys with slick jerseys out there.
It's not like the Michigan thing where they're the only people that steal signals. It's something where a lot of teams do it.
Yeah, it's like, well, hold on. it like if it was the Michigan thing, it would be, well, it's okay to steal signals, you just can't do it that way. It's like, whoa, Broncos offensive line, it's okay to have different substances on you, but not Crisco. Okay, you could have sprayed a lot of things on you, but you used the wrong thing, so now you got to go and wash it off. Sorry.
There's a YouTube video here that says Broncos caught spraying their uniforms with silicone.
Okay,
so
not Crisco,
I haven't seen it anywhere else, but we're talking about Kendall's expertise here.
Kevin Green was a cheater. I'm just
No,
joking.
he was pushing the boundaries.
Sorry, I'll restate. Kevin Green was an NFL player that did what other NFL players did.
There you go. Absolutely. Which is to say, Kevin Green was an NFL player.
That's exactly right. Yes. Guy put super glue on his gloves.
Yeah.
He couldn't give the ball back to the ref. They had to rip it out of his hand.
What is it? The old picture or something? Lester Hayes with the stickum that he put his hands in or whatever. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
It's like Harry with Sticky Bandits and Home Alone 2. And just reaches his hand.
Oh,
in
there you go.
and
Yes, I didn't know where you were going with that one. Yeah. Do we need to explain that to you a little bit later, Joshua?
Home Alone. I've been Home Alone before, but that's all. Man, the Lester Hayes pictures are amazing. There's some good stuff.
It's a movie about terrible parents.
Okay,
Home Alone.
got it. So far,
terrible
so
parents.
good.
And then they have a sequel about how they continue to be bad parents.
Is that the one that's like a home? I don't really do horror movies, so I don't really think I want to watch a home invasion.
It's
film.
a thriller.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of stress.
It's a thriller, that's for sure. There's pizza involved.
All right, I'm back.
So there, which is nice.
Well done. There's angels with dirty souls.
I don't know what that means.
There are snakes involved. So there's
cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
That's right. Tarantulas. Pretty much the worst parts of the Bible.
How long has it been since you've seen the Lester Hayes picture, Jason?
It's been a long time. Oh my God,
it is crazy.
So amazing, man.
Crazy.
It looks like he's got his hands already bronzed.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like? It looks like he is. It's from Happy Gilmore. And that is, who's his name? Chubbs.
Oh, Chubbs.
It looks like Chubbs' fake hand.
Fake hand. That is outstanding.
Like Chubbs' fake hand.
This late in the game, it looks like he killed the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
Like there's just or the creature from the Black Lagoon. Like it looks like he had a fight in a swamp.
NFL films should have some type of special on all the different things that the guys have done over the years to maybe get one up on everybody else.
Make it a football life and just football life
there you
of
go.
An NFL. Nobody specific of things that may have taken place before or during games or after games.
Football life, foreign substances.
There you
Football
go.
life, a 70s, 80s Raiders story.
Oh, that's funny.
The cold autumn breeze flows through.
It always comes back to the Raiders. It's funny when I do a lot of speaking for corporations and whatever, and it's kind of funny. I get to a certain point to where it must be 10 minutes where I just bag on the Raiders the whole time. And like, folks, if you like the Raiders, just understand I have a very decided slant coming up. So just get ready for it.
Understand there's an issue here.
Yeah.
Does the sensation,
and I come by it honestly.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does the sensation of like football's more fun when the rivals are good? Does that still appeal to you, or would you rather see them go 0-17 every year forever?
The Raiders?
Yeah.
Oh, I think 0-17 is fun.
Okay, very good.
I could care either way, but I mean the Raiders in general, and you know what? You don't even have to wish. They kind of take care of that themselves. Although I say that here recently, playing some better ball.
I mean, it's. I think the Ravens win tomorrow night, and we're going to wake up on Friday, and the Bengals, Bills, and Raiders are all going to be 5-5.
It's crazy. This year is really different on both sides, AFC and the NFC.
Mm-hmm. The Chiefs get ready for the Eagles. It's a Super Bowl rematch, and the teams are different, obviously. I know the answer is yes, but for you, the bye week, was it the mental side of the relaxing? Was it the physical side of just your body healing? The answer is yes, but was there one side or the other that you leaned towards that you looked forward to a little bit more during that week off?
For me, and I think most, it's 100% the mental side of it, the emotional side of it. Just getting to let your breath out a little bit and just relax and not have to completely focus on football, because each and every week, I mean, every hour, minute, second is spoken for to a degree of everything going on. I mean, there's only, for us, only 16 games now, 17. That's not a lot. It's not 162 in baseball or 82 in basketball. I think that's what it is. So it just means so much. So to have a chance to exhale and, I don't know, maybe go to another continent, that just makes it, I'm spitballing, and just gives you a chance to relax.
But and speaking of that,
it's a private jet. I mean, you get to lay down. He's sleeping in his bed at home. He's sleeping on the jet. It ain't different.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, just and it's sort of the same time zone. I mean, it's it might have been more difficult there in Germany because you're taking the charter, not taking the private plane like he was taking. So I know Trent McDuffie. I don't have the clip here, but he was talking about. He was like, I don't know how he does it. Kelsey's like, my back was hurting from the trip to Germany. I'm like, well, because he wasn't sitting in like one. I know it was a little more. You were a little more comfortable than you typically would be, the Chiefs, when they're heading to Germany as opposed to flying to Vegas to play the Raiders or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's even more comfortable when you're essentially by yourself on an entire plane.
You got a Challenger or a Falcon or something.
Yes.
I'm just like, golly.
Scott Pioli was asked on Good Morning Football yesterday about, like, when you were a GM, Travis Kelce, is it because he's a veteran that sort of, he can do some of these things? And Scott Pioli was like, well, I mean, one, he is a veteran guy, and he's like, one of the things that happened with me in my career was I micromanaged, and it was, and it was a big mistake for me, and it ended up backfiring and all of that stuff. And he's like, Andy Reid isn't necessarily that. And then they talked about, like, he's like, as long as the communication is there from Andy and those guys. My reaction to that was like, does there need to be communication between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce on the bye week? Like, does Trent McDuffie have to tell Andy, hey, I'm going back to Washington to go and watch this UW game and head back there and be on the campus for a weekend? Like, does there have to be communication where Travis Kelce's like, hey, I'm going to take a private plane to Argentina for a couple of days and take a private plane back, and I'll be back on Monday, and it's going to happen for just 2 days during the bye week? Like, does there have to be permission to do that?
There doesn't. The only communication you need is make sure the wrappers are off the floor. Other than that, you're good.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Other than that, everything's fine. But keep the damn wrappers off the floor.
That's right. Yeah, somebody picked it up.
Exactly right. But no, I agree completely. And I'm sure there wasn't. I mean, quite honestly. I mean, you have that time off. I think Big Red really wants guys to get away and relax, and I think that's huge.
Yeah. I just can't imagine like Travis would have to reach out to Andy Reid or Brett Veach and say, hey, I'm going to spend a couple of days in a different city.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
I would agree with that too.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if he did, but he didn't have to.
Yeah.
And my guess is, I really believe this probably happened, my guess is he probably did let somebody know, and they're probably like, you know what, thanks. We appreciate that. So
have fun.
So they're not shocked when they see it, and I mean, he goes down there, you're going to see it on TikTok. I mean, that's just how it is.
Like the flight for Trent McDuffie to Seattle, as
Exactly.
opposed to the
There you go.
flight for Travis Kelce to Buenos Aires on a private plane.
Yep.
Probably not much different time-wise because of how freaking fast those things go.
Yep.
Those private planes, those jets, how quickly they can get places. And how probably more comfortable he was than Trent McDuffie on a Southwest, in line B. Kelce didn't forget to check in and have to be now boarding C1 through 30, and Kelsey's like ducking and trying to get in. He doesn't get the emergency exit aisle,
right?
Yeah, like that. Like,
well, yeah, you don't spend the time in the airport. I do some things for Pittsburgh State, and we have some. We have some alums and some friends at PSU who have done very well in their life and are very generous, and they're in other cities. And I've been around, so I've had the good fortune to ride on some very nice jets. Yeah. And I mean, you get there, and 10 minutes later, you're in the air.
I mean, right there,
yeah,
wheels up,
I'm not
baby.
getting patted down. There's nothing going on like that. It's not as time consuming for sure.
I wanted to play this clip, and I know we're running out of time here because the time with Kendall goes too fast.
It does.
But I wanted to play this clip because we were talking about the bye week. This is Trent McDuffie on the Adam Schefter podcast that came out yesterday. And he was talking about being back from the bye and sort of, ready to go and getting back into the mentality after having a week off.
Last night, I came home, off the plane, a little groggy. I was like, oh, man, got to get up, got to get to practice. And then earlier this morning, we started watching some of the tape and stuff, and I got kind of like them little butterflies, and I was like, oh, I'm back. I'm like, okay, now we are back in the thing. When you start getting that excitement, it's always a good thing.
Are the butterflies over Monday Night Football? Are they overplaying the Eagles? Are they overplaying
Honestly,
good wide receiver? What are the butterflies about, Trent?
the butterflies are because I get to go play football again. And that's as honest as I can be. Like, I got to go out there today and actually go put the pads on and move around a little bit. Like, I'm one of those guys that I need to, like, move around all the time. So, like, during the bye week, I'll just be saying, like, dude, I'm bored. Like, what am I going to do? Like, it's so great not having to practice, but, like, man, I don't have to get up in the mornings. Like when you get back into that routine, you're like, okay, I feel kind of good again.
I mean, from him, like it sounds completely, totally the mental side of just, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything.
Right.
I went to my alma mater, went to a football game, hung out there, and then now it's like, oh wow, I'm kind of groggy. Got to get back into it. Oh wait, here's some film. Let's go. Let's get into football. Right. So now I'm ready because he had that break where it wasn't about football and everything. He was just enjoying himself or bored.
Yeah, which is what we talked about earlier. You asked which is more important, and it's the emotional, the mental side of it. Is you get to get away from it, but you want to get back. I mean, the worst thing for an NFL player is idle time. That's when they get in trouble. I mean, quite honestly, when they don't have things going. I mean, some that I've been around, and when you get that, when he said that, you get the butterflies. It's because you care. It's because you love it. I mean, I played. 15 years, so 243 games, another 60-something preseason games, and never once did I not, have butterflies and not get excited about it, even with the preseason games, because it's special. I mean, I was playing a position of one of only 32 had in the world, and the minute you take it for granted is the minute that you're not going to be there very long. And I think the minute that you don't have the butterflies, that you don't appreciate the moment, that you don't understand how special this is and how fortunate you are, is the minute you have to think about doing something else. And quite honestly, somebody else will make that decision for you.
That's right. Yeah, the NFL will decide when your career is over for the most part. For 99.9% of NFL players, the NFL decides that. All right, what do you think happens on Monday night? Chiefs, Eagles, Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, I've been hearing this all. I mean, I think the being at home is the deciding factor. I've been hearing some people saying 24-23. Maybe Matt Derrick was 27-24, and then he went. I think he went the Eagles side of it.
Eagles, yeah.
I just can't pick against the Chiefs at home. If it were at the Eagles, I'd probably be picking the other way. But I'm going to go like 24-21.
Yeah. That's probably
Somewhere
where I'll end
there.
up, right around there.
Yeah.
I just think that it's a different Chiefs team right now. Like
it is.
It's not like the 35-32s or something like that.
It's not. You're right. And it's not good. It's not bad. But thankfully, it can be games like that because of the defense and what they're doing.
No doubt.
And make no mistake, and I know we're getting close to time, but boy, I know the Chiefs need to get some things going offensively. They need to get a wide receiver to continue to step up and do some things. But, man, winning it, if they do, and I think they will, then I think it gets ugly for other teams because it's special what the defense is doing.
Yeah, I would be shocked if this is a 38-35 final.
I don't see that happening.
On Monday night.
No doubt.
Kendall, you're the man as always. Really appreciate the time, brother. Thank you so much for coming in.
Always love being here, guys.
Absolutely. There's Kendall Gammon, presented by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen, recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference. More Zone next. Thank you to Kendall Gammon joining us here on a Wednesday. We will hear from the Chiefs in press conferences on Friday, starting about 11:45 or so. But with the Monday Night Football game, everything is pushed back one day. But thank you for Kendall Gammon moving around his schedule to come in and hang out with us in the studio after spending a week or so there in Europe. And the superstition for Kendall Gammon, putting everything on left to right on game day.
He also actually, I don't know, you can't quite see down the hall, but he just walked out and he's actually just laying down right there having a little nap.
Good for him.
Just real sleepy guy. He's just right there in the hallway. So, Dylan, if can you put a cone out in front of him or something? I'd hate for anyone to trip.
Can somebody get him a cone or something? A bell? 913-912-4810. I do want to hear some more from Trent McDuffie.
You want to hit you the Bengals news real quick?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead.
We sometimes talk about things during the break, and then I have to ask myself, do we talk about that on the show or not?
Agreed.
Ian Rappaport tweeting out that the Bengals have ruled out T. Higgins and Sam Hubbard for Thursday Night Football. But after hyperextending his knee on Sunday, pass rusher Trey Hendrickson is somehow a full go and will play.
That's surprising to me because a couple of days ago, the expectation was that Sam Hubbard was close to coming back and looked like he would be able to play against the Ravens. But there was pessimism around Trey Hendrickson having the MRI and, hyperextended knee. And T. Higgins was all but ruled out like on Monday. So that's not the surprise. The surprise is, which defensive end is going to play, which I think if they had their choice, nothing against Sam Hubbard, they would choose Trey Hendrickson to play in the game against the Ravens. But, first and foremost, they're going to need to stop the run before you pass rush Lamar Jackson. And even when you do that, it's a pass rush that's sort of a safety pass rush because you can't lose your lanes. And if you do that, then you lose 15 to 20 yards sometimes when he runs the ball.
And I still think at this point, I think it's better for the Chiefs if the Bengals win this game because it puts even more cushion between the Chiefs and the 2 seed. Right now, that's Baltimore. Jacksonville was there. They've stumbled. The Chiefs obviously have the head-to-head there. They have the head-to-head against the Dolphins. Both of them are 6-3, so I don't think the Steelers will continue on this pace, but they're technically also right there at 6-3 with the Browns. The AFC is absolutely wild. And I will not feel too bad tomorrow night sitting in my basement rooting for the Bengals because I think that will be the best thing for Kansas City. I don't think it's going to matter if they continue to have their issues. Certainly banged up now with 2 really important missing pieces.
We'll hear from Trent McDuffie. We were having fun with Travis Kelce and all of that stuff as he's having fun and everything. I'm just seeing this come across my timeline, but somebody who is a Swiftie took a screenshot of a Travis Kelce tweet in 2011.
These are all bubbling up right now. This is a wonderful thing that Swiftie Twitter is doing.
Travis Kelce in 2011 said, "I just gave a squirrel a piece of bread and it straight smashed all of it." 4 exclamation points. "I had no idea they ate bread like that." 2 exclamation points. Haha, hashtag crazy. And this person writes, Taylor Swift in 2011. "From when your Brooklyn broke my skin and bones, I'm a soldier who's returning half her weight and did the twin flame bruise paint you blue. Just between us, did the love affair maim you too?" Travis Kelce in 2011. "I just gave a squirrel a piece of bread."
And that's a SQUIRLE.
He misspelled squirrel.
Also, someone found a picture of Taylor Swift wearing a full-on squirrel costume.
Oh, amazing.
And put that side by side with Travis Kelce's tweet. It's really, this was meant to be.
I think somebody has to get the picture. Take the picture of that was going around about Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce. About, I don't remember who tweeted it. I like to give credit on the tweets. I don't remember who was.
Try to find it.
That tweeted out the picture of them at Cincinnati and said one of these guys was a finalist for the sexiest man in the world. The other one's dating Travis Kelce.
Dating Taylor Swift. Or Tony Gonzalez.
The other one is Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. Zach Blanford tweeted that out. You got to take that picture of him looking goofy and looking like he just got Botox in his lips for some reason, Travis Kelce. I'm not sure what's going on with that picture there.
A little pouty.
You got to take that picture, cut it, and then take a little Photoshop with Taylor Swift when she was in Lawrence, like 15 years ago or whenever, when she was just like, hey, let's go out, like not really dressed up or anything, just sitting there around like a heater or something and looking not like Taylor Swift looks right now, and take those pictures and say, this is now the power couple around the world. It's Travis Kelce and Taylor. These two have come together to form the power couple in pop culture.
I'm going to work on it.
That is improbable. Because Taylor Swift doesn't look like this is going to be a pop superstar.
Right.
Because, by the way, she was just out with her friends.
Right.
She wasn't on stage performing, And Travis Kelce looks like he just went and got Botox for some reason.
Maybe it's like a swollen lip. Maybe he got punched or something. How about that extra layer to the story?
He's getting swole. This is what happened. It was a very pouty lip. So yeah, that just came across my timeline apropos of nothing at all.
Somebody had a little tweet going around of who do you want to be the next stars of the next season of True Detective, and I think the Kelceys. I think they're next. I tweeted that out with a picture of them from the Pro Bowl. I'm wishing now I would have taken the picture of them at Cincinnati.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been better. I'm honestly thinking about just go ahead and taking a second shot at that one, just seeing if people notice.
Nobody will notice.
I don't think they would. People won't see my tweets.
Can we Photoshop those two, their heads from that picture onto McConaughey and Woody Harrelson's body? If there's anyone, it would be Conrad McGorkin.
He'd be great. He'd be good to do that for sure. Let's hear from Trent McDuffie. We played the one where they are back from the bye week and ready to go. This is one where he had a lot of good stuff in the podcast with Adam Schefter. He really did. I cut about 6 different clips from Trent McDuffie in that podcast. We're talking about the rematch of the Super Bowl coming up on Monday Night Football. And he weighs in about Monday Night Football and the Chiefs defense this year. Just like crowd and what that's going to be like and tailgating and everything on into a really interesting look at what's going on with this defense this year compared to last year. Here's that conversation, a couple of minutes with Schefter.
Oh, I already know it's going to be rocking. I mean, I was saying Germany was a good crowd, and I'm some soccer fans, but you talk about a Super Bowl rematch, you talk about Monday night, a game where the fans get to tailgate for 24 hours, you know what I mean? Like they get the whole weekend plus another day. I mean, I'm sure that place is going to be electric, which makes the defense even more excited.
And Sean, why do you think people are not talking more about this Chiefs defense?
Man, I feel like you might know a little better than me.
You know why? My theory would be Patrick Mahomes is so good and Travis Kelce is such great energy that people aren't used to talking about the Chiefs defense when the defense has been the unit that's made the difference for this team this year.
I like that. That's definitely been something I said that we've been trying to change a little narrative, like, yeah, we have Pat. Yes, we have Travis. Yes, we have Andy Reid. But this defense, I said it in OTAs, I said it in training camp, I said this defense is just different this year. Like whatever we did over this past offseason to come together when guys went away and stuff and came back, I think it's a mentality thing that I think is the biggest difference.
And what about this defense makes that difference in that mentality? What's the mentality like?
It's almost like it's selfish in a sense where everybody wants to be so great at what they do that the standard is for 4 quarters, we're going to be the most relentless. For 4 quarters, we're going to be those guys that, we might have coverage breaks. Yeah, you might get a long ball, but you better strap it up the next play. Because, you might get one play on us, but we're here for 4 quarters, and that's something that I haven't played with. I haven't played on many defenses where I can truly just look around and be like, no, he's bringing it. Like, I better be on my game because all 10 of them are on their game. And it just makes you play harder, makes you want to study harder. Like, you really want to be on your game because everybody else around you is.
It's the mentality that, like, when the boxer, the badass boxer gets hit and it's like, oh, you messed up now. Now I'm pissed. Like, it's not a bend but don't break defense. It's a bend and then get pissed that they had to bend, break defense. Is the mentality that he's describing there. You might get one on us, but you better keep the helmet strapped up because we're coming after you the next play. You're not going to get another one on us. And I can look around and see the other 10 guys, and they're all with the same thing and same feeling, all trying to be great. And I know that that's how they're playing with that relentlessness, and I'm going to do the same thing. And you better be ready to go for 4 quarters against this defense because we're going to bring the game to you.
And like a selfishness in the group in a way that you want your defense to be kind of greedy. Yeah. Guys hunting for plays, but that is something
it's
that you
a
can,
selfishness because everybody wants to be great. Selfishly, I want to be great. Therefore, the defense is going to be amazing.
And that has to be underlying where it's not just like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and break off my coverage and go try to grab this ball here real quick, and bleep, I got beaten over the top. You have to have a minimum level of competence there that is all of that. It's everyone wanting to be great, understanding the defense from a team perspective. Most of these guys in year 2 in Spags' defense. It's funny because he's been here for a minute now, but there's so much turnover. We've talked about Justin Reed's comments many, many times now, getting comfortable late last year in December. This is a defense that is coming together that has the right mindset all the way through, which is also a testament to the coaching staff. Just real excellence all the way through, which is an incredibly wonderful thing to get to say about a Chiefs defense.
And to piggyback off Josh's point, the difference between the defense now and the past, it feels like, where we had to bring in outside culture to change the mindset of, well, we have Mahomes. So it's okay if we do jump this route and give up a bomb because our offense will get it right back, to the culture now where we drafted a bunch of guys who take pride in saying, no, this is our team. We are the team. We are the driving force of this team, and that's what we want to be. And if you don't have that mindset, there's a great stocking cap we offer and some sweats that you can wear on the sideline. This is the culture we have now, and that's, I feel like, the difference.
It's a really, really good view of the game that you can enjoy. It just won't be across that white line. It'll be on the other side. Real quick, I want to play this other one because it piggybacks with what he just said, and then we'll take a break. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. It's the the Eagles rematch that's coming up on Monday night, and that's the talk, Super Bowl rematch or whatever. And he goes into that game was last year. This is different, but also this week there's been a challenge to the defense. That Trent McDuffie gives us an inside view of what the conversation may be behind the scenes there around the Chiefs practice facility.
Man, you definitely have to look at it as definitely a new experience because they're a different team. We're a different team. And actually, one of the big things that Coach Spags said this morning was he hinted back to last Super Bowl, and he's like, I don't know about you guys, but they put up 35 points against us. And I know this year's defense, we're like, none of that. We are not trying to give up points. So there's definitely kind of that stigma, kind of that stuff like, okay, we still, even though we won, like that wasn't our best defense. We still have something to prove.
So if you put up or allow 35 on Monday night, you're going to be a little disappointed, Trent.
Oh, yeah. I don't care if we win or lose. If we let up 35 points, there's going to be definitely a lot of sour faces coming out next week.
They're pretty good, though.
They're a great offense. They're a great offense, and they're efficient. They got Jalen Hurts. They got the tush push. They got A.J. Brown. Like, it's going to be a matchup. But one thing at least I know with this defense and just being around the guys is we love games like these. I mean, you got to love a Monday night football game against the number 1 team in the NFC. Like, this is a showdown, man. This is why we're in the NFL. It's games like this.
There you go. The little challenge of Spags to the Chiefs defense. I don't know about you guys, but they put up 35 points against us last year. Just as a heads up, guys. This team, we won the Super Bowl. It's because of the guys on the other side. They put up 38. We gave up 35 to this team. I don't think we're that defense anymore. Do you guys? Well, let's go prove it.
There is also, I think most people get this inherently, but there is such a huge difference to, I don't care if we win or lose, as long as my stats are good. And I don't care if we win. If we give up 35 points, we're going to be disappointed. Because both, and again, this goes to Dylan's point also, both sides of this team want credit. Not in the selfish way, but they want to be a reason this team is winning games. And for so many years, the defense was almost never that. To the point that even when we knew this defense would be better this year, I think it was a preseason factor fiction of like the Chiefs defense will win them at least one game this year. They've won like 4. Like they are the reason this team is at the top of the AFC West and the top of the AFC right now, which is a very cool dynamic for an offense that does still have Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, etc.
We'll take a time and we'll come back, wrap up this hour. Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next. All right, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the next hour. Big shout out and congratulations to June's Player of the Month, Alan Pulido for Sporting, and now the MLS Comeback Player of the Year. I think it was one of the more obvious picks for him to be named the Comeback Player of the Year. But Alan Pulido, 11 days until they play their next match in the playoffs for Sporting. But they have the Comeback Player of the Year in Pulido.
It's very cool. And the layoff wouldn't be so bad if they didn't just decide to vanquish St. Louis in 2. I mean, that was very selfish of them.
I mean, they could have let it play out a little bit more, a little more drama. Either way,
I'll take it.
Continue to show their big brother.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. One more hour to go here on this Wednesday edition of the show. Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. So another update for the KU Jayhawks. We'll see how much he will say about the quarterback or not. I loved Chris Kleiman yesterday. I didn't cut the clip, but Chris Kleiman at his press conference said something about the quarterback, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, well, we'll find out no sooner than when they come out there and take the snap as to who's starting at quarterback, which is absolutely. And he didn't say it like a smartass. He was just saying, like, that's, well, we'll find out.
Just what's going to happen.
Who they got going, and we'll find out, no sooner than they're out there playing, and, we'll be ready to go, and blah, 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 and, the matchup and how much better KU is this year than the last couple of years that Chris Kleiman's going up against them, and all of that stuff. But I thought that was funny because I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely true. It's not even sarcastic. It's just simply matter of fact, and we'll find out who the guy is no sooner than when they go out there. But, we'll be good to go, ready to go, and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Could be Bean, Ballard, Daniels, Todd Reesing.
Mikey Pauley.
Who knows? Mikey Pauley.
Coming up tonight, that is a Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold. And I believe Brian Haney's still hosting that because I know he was in Chicago last night, and he was at the Blasters on Sunday. So we had a little college basketball versus Manhattan on Friday. He had some college football with Texas Tech on Saturday. Blasters on Sunday. Trip to Chicago last night. Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold tonight. Brian Haney is everywhere.
It's almost like there's two of them.
Almost, though, but not really. Not identical.
That sounds like something you would say, quote unquote, Jason Anderson.
Josh, let me tell you, I am only one man. I just chalk it up to the genes. How great I am and my ability to be everywhere at once.
He wants the job, he gets the job.
Chalk it up. So that'll be tonight. With Lance Leipold. Special guest Lance Leipold.
Lance Leipold, and either you or Brian Haney will be there hosting.
Hawk Talk with Brian Haney. Special guest tonight, Lance Leipold.
That's kind of how it works, really, right?
I actually do wonder who the
star of the show for me.
The football play, the actual player guest will be for tonight. We'll see. And then Bethany Bowman got her show tonight at 7 o'clock after Lance Leipold, and then Sterling is at 8 o'clock.
Oh, God, you want to talk about terrible special guests?
The home stretch.
You know, there's a special guest on the home stretch tonight.
Stew on that.
God, I wish I could stew somewhere else.
Yeah, well, we had a nice little stew maybe last night.
Listen to Hawk Talk and then listen to Bethany. And then, if you got something else to do from
Support
8
Stew.
to 10.
Support Stew.
Maybe turn it off.
No matter what Josh says.
Turn it off by 9.
Support Stew. We had some good food from Guaranteed Foods last night. They are also giving away a tailgate pack.
Woo! What's in that tailgate pack?
Upcoming home game on Monday night. Give away this Guaranteed Foods tailgate pack. I'll tell you what's in it in a second, but I'll tell you how you can win it. Go to 810WHB.com/guaranteedfoods. 810WHB.com/guaranteedfoods. Register. You got today and tomorrow to register. We will pick out the winner. The winner will be contacted on Friday. There will be a winner. And that person will get the Guaranteed Foods tailgate pack, which is 4 slabs of baby back ribs, brisket burn-ins, cheesy corn, bone-in honey barbecue wings, Cure 81 honey glazed ham, jalapeno soft pretzel bites, Johnsonville brats, chicken tender strips, baked beans with brisket, baked potato casserole, and a gourmet turtle cheesecake. Oh, that'd be nice right in time for the holidays. If you don't eat all of that at your tailgate.
Yeah, good luck.
Or you just enjoy the Cure 81 honey glazed ham. I'm a ham over turkey guy when it comes to the dinners around the holidays. I'm a turkey over ham lunch meat guy when it comes to just in general eating sandwiches.
I think that is a distinguished take. I think that is a good. I am not always a ham guy, which made it even more noteworthy when the ham that we had from Guaranteed Foods was so good that I became a ham guy. I know it's hard to look at me and think he's probably not a ham guy. A lot of pork, plenty of beef, and a cake.
and a cheesecake. A turtle cheesecake.
When's Mick
Gourmet
getting here?
Turtle cheesecake. I'm not sure. He is now filming a Christmas promo with KSHB 41. He sent us a picture of his green Christmas sweater and his KSHB 41 vest over it. The little puffy vest they have, a little jacket puffy vest thingy. So they got that. He'll be here whenever. Whenever he's here, he'll grace our presence.
Whatever it's
Will be
convenient for him.
Let's hear from Trent McDuffie, though.
He can do the first 20 minutes in the program. If he gets 20 minutes late here, he can just overlap.
He's guaranteed I'm guaranteed an hour. Damn it. I'm going to be on for an hour. That's 3 segments, okay? I don't care what you guys say. Here's Trent McDuffie. This is pretty cool, him talking about when the Chiefs traded up for him on draft day. And we've heard Trent McDuffie, weigh in on different things. But even looking back now in his time when the Chiefs traded up for him and sort of the level of whether that's pressure or expectation that goes along with not only being a first-round draft pick, but being a guy that the Chiefs used multiple picks to move up and get. Here he is in his conversation with Adam Schefter.
Yeah, honestly, the NFL draft is, now I can finally say, it is so crazy. Like, I first off had zero communication with the Chiefs, so when I see it actually pop up on my phone, I was like, whoa, this came out of the blue. And then to know that they traded up and all that stuff, like, it was, a side of me, it was like, man, this feels really good that like a team traded up, wants me. Yeah. But then on the back end, you're like, okay, but now you got to go prove exactly why they did this, exactly what they're thinking. Like, now I have to go prove it. And so that's been something that on the back of my mind each day, it kind of like fuels the fire, like, okay, even though I'm tired, even though I did this, or maybe, Miami game, I had a great game. But then this week we play the Eagles. Like, what is that? That game don't matter no more. Like, come on, Sharon, you got to keep it going. You got to keep doing these things because, especially with Spags as the defense coordinator, he keeps that thumb on you, which I love as a player. Don't give me no rest. Like, come on, coach. But yeah, he makes you stay on your toes.
Thought that was interesting. Of just, I got to go and prove that what they did was right. It's not his. It's not his fault that he was a first-round draft pick or the Chiefs traded up. It's just the same thing as Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's not Clyde Edwards-Helaire's fault that the Chiefs took him in the first round. It hasn't worked out. So far, it has worked out swimmingly for Trent McDuffie and the Chiefs. But even having that mentality of, oh, this is awesome, man. Somebody wants me so bad that they traded up to get me, and I didn't even hear from them in the draft process. So I see an 816 pop up like, well, what? Kansas City, and they're trading up with New England, which is a team that was rumored to be taking me, and they trade out of this spot. But then to think like, well, I also have Steve Spagnuolo that keeps his thumb on you, which I want as a player is to continually be pushed and to not let up. Great game against Miami. That doesn't matter anymore. We're playing the Eagles now this week. So what have you done for me next? Not what have you done for me lately?
And there's a difference between, keeping your thumb on the guys that are still developing and really making sure that everyone is still developing and being the kind of like super stereotypical coach that's just like, what you did last week, put it in the trash. Yeah. It doesn't matter. That has never been the vibe I have gotten from Spags, but specifically at corner. Not that this isn't true in other positions as well, but just specifically talking about cornerbacks, that development keeps continuing. There are veterans who have gotten here and then had Bashad Breeland career years because there is development to be had for everybody, and it feels very constructive. Like, here's what you have done so far. You got to prove it again here. You got to add another wrinkle here, and I'm going to give you something you can get better at. Preseason, training camp, we were kind of worried about Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson. They've still kind of bounced roles back and forth, and the snap percentages have alternated, and that could be game plan and matchups and so many things. But when would you decide a cornerback is done developing under Steve Spagnuolo? L'Jarius Sneed's not done. He's playing outside and following number one receivers now, and he was great last year.
Probably when he leaves the Chiefs.
That might be it, unless he goes to but really, like, it is just such a testament to this entire group. I am just tickled with how this defense has come together.
One of the things that the secondary does have is that during training camp, and we saw this, by the way, during training camp, where there was frustration on both sides, and there was frustration on Travis Kelce during training camp when a couple of punches were thrown. There were guys trying to punch the ball out, and as we said, like, the offense is going to appreciate them punching the ball out in training camp, which is exactly what happened to Willie Gay, he punched the ball out of Raheem Mostert's hand when he caused that fumble. This is something you and I talked about. I think we were at Green Light Dispensary, and we were discussing Shaq Leonard who has been terrible this year.
After the show one day?
Yes, that's right.
We did a remote from there.
Yes, the remote, yes.
We just ran into each other.
That's right. Hey, guy, you look familiar. The dad joke. I guess they let anybody in here.
You come here often?
Yes.
I do.
No, they actually don't let anybody in here.
And I do come here often. So.
That's right. But we were talking about Shaq Leonard. He would have had that way of causing fumbles. He would go in for the tackle, but he would punch one of his arms would be punching while going to wrap up. It's exactly what Willie Gay did against Raheem Mostert. He goes in for the tackle and he punches the ball out while wrapping him up. And so those are things going on in training camp, and those frustrations going back and forth. But Trent McDuffie weighing in here about Patrick Mahomes and this secondary, how good they are, and you get Patrick Mahomes going up against him and the offense to sort of make you better and to keep you on your toes and always know that, that's the best guy out there that we're practicing against every day.
I really want to strive to be like the most consistent player, like each day I want to get better and better. And then you're against Pat and it's like, oh, I did great at this thing, but then I gave up 3 deep balls. Or yes, I had the perfect technique, coach, but he still caught it. Like those little stuff. Definitely during training camp when it's hot, you're mad, emotions, like, yeah, it can take a hit on you. And I think the best part about him and just like this whole team is, even though he will throw 5 bombs over your head and do a little talk or, hey, I got you on that, like he's always like, but no, you're great. You're in great position. Like everything you did was perfect. Wow. It's like, like he will still give you a little flowers where you're like, okay, at least, he gave me a little bit, even though he threw a great ball and all that, even though they scored, like he still saw exactly what I was doing. So that was cool.
And here's the flip side to that, Trent, right? Even though you go up against him and you realize how different the pro game is initially, and you recognize how hard he is to defend, the good side is, even though on your schedule left this season, you'll go up against Josh Allen in week 14 and Joe Burrow in week 17 and Justin Herbert in week 18, you're not going to face a quarterback in a game who's any better than Patrick Mahomes, the guy you go against in practice every single day.
I say it all the time. I say, hey, defense, look, just get this ball back to Pat. Let him do his magic. Our job is to get him the ball, because once you get him the ball, that's when magic happens.
The next step of that is for Trent McDuffie, while he's telling that to the defense, to walk down to the special teams unit and say, hey, get this ball back to Pat. Just get this ball, the ball to Pat. That's when magic happens, not on the special teams. Get the ball to Pat. I told the defense that. We've done our job. The last part, look, we played amazing defense, and they missed the shot. We actually have to rebound to clean. Rebounding is the last part of getting the ball to the offense. If we don't rebound, then defensively we didn't get a stop. Special teams is the last part of getting the ball back to Pat. So let's just get the ball back to Pat. Special teams, your turn.
Or if you want to just do it like you did in Germany, just give it back to the kicking team. Just go ahead and give it back to the kickoff unit. Right. Let them kick it back, and you guys go back out there again. It's okay if you want to score yourself. That's all right.
Do that. That's perfectly fine. Get the ball back to Tua.
That's exactly right.
That was great, too.
That's exactly right.
That worked out just fine.
Go ahead and get your points and then kick it back.
But I like that there's a balance from Patrick Mahomes talking smack to him, like, I got you on that one. But then also, hey, I know I got you on that one, but I saw where you were, and this was working. And, oh, by the way, if it's not me throwing it, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look, I'm 15. I mean, come on, man. Nothing to hang your head about. I'm going to do that to a lot of really good corners in the league. But you were doing this, you were doing that. Last one, and then we'll take a break, and we may or may not hear from Mick Schaefer.
Mick will be here by the time. I think Mick might be here by the time this clip's over. Let's find out. He'll definitely be here next segment.
That's quite the assumption.
It sure is.
Quite the assumption. Last one from that podcast that was pretty interesting. Trent McDuffie on the Adam Schefter podcast reflects on his first year, having a chance maybe to look back a little bit on his first full year in the NFL.
I'll say my rookie training camp, I'll never forget. I was the most frustrated I've ever played football, because no matter what I was doing, Patrick Mahomes was getting them boys the ball. They was throwing it all over the field, and I was like, I must not, like, like, what am I doing as a DB? Like, what's happening? And then I get injured and I'm like, okay, wow, like, this whole first season, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And then came back that second half, like, okay, I gotta prove it now. And then you go to the Super Bowl. And I like just sat back this offseason, like, what just happened? Like, it was a blink, and I go from being in college to a Super Bowl champ to like all these things overnight. And I remember I went home and everybody's like, yo, what's up, champ? What's up, champ? And it was like, whoa, I was like ducking, like, whoa, that's strange. I forget y'all calling me champ. Like, I'm not used to that. So many blessings, a ton of blessings, but definitely something that I don't feel like it's gonna truly hit me till like one day I'm like, okay, I'm done with football. Like, okay, wow, yeah, that was great, because I'm so much just in the moment, next, that I don't ever really allow myself to sit in those moments like that.
Had you ever won a championship before, Trent?
Only in baseball when I was 10 years old, and in basketball, but never in football. And that's my sport. So I have been fighting for that championship forever.
And what was the best part about winning the championship, even though you've not been able to fully process it?
Yeah. Honestly, when that confetti rains down and you look up and it was my whole family, because I had my whole family out there. They were all turned up, and then I turned around, you just see your teammates' faces. Like, you just see, it's like a collective unison, like, we did it, like all this hard work, everything we had to go through during that week, like all the ups and downs of the season, you can finally sit back and say, okay, for this, at least one night, these 1-2 nights all the way up, I say 3, because, you get the parade and stuff, you can go celebrate, but for at least 3 days, you're like, I get to actually just do nothing but enjoy having a win.
A lot of stuff there. And I think part of it is also the inside, sort of the glimpse into when we talked with Kendall Gammon about the mental break that takes place. Because he said one of the best parts was, one, the confetti falling. But then for 3 days, I can actually just enjoy a victory and enjoy the win, because during the season, they don't do that. You win against Miami, or that was a bye week, but you win against Philadelphia, and you're not enjoying the victory except for maybe that night. But then really you're on to the Raiders, getting ready for the next week, and you get done with that game, and then you're on to the next game, and the next thing you know, a full year has passed. But hey, for that night and the next couple nights till the parade, didn't have to worry about the next game, didn't have to think about the practice or whatever. It was just enjoy the fact that we won a Super Bowl, probably for the first time since, I don't know, because his last year at Washington, and then immediately the draft process and the combine and the lead up, and then you get drafted, and then it's rookie minicamp, and then it's practices, and then it's workouts on your own, then it's OTAs, and back to workouts on your own, then it's minicamp, and back to workouts on your own, then it's training camp, and then it's the Super Bowl. So probably the first time in how long that he was able to just sit back and go, hey, there's not something immediately that I've got to be doing right now, getting ready for what's the next thing.
From looking at completed passes in training camp going, what's happening?
I suck at football.
To going back home to, hey, champ, and asking what happened is a pretty good summation of the whirlwind that season was.
Yeah, and a clip we played earlier of him saying, whatever happened in the offseason, that with this team just coming back together, whatever took place and guys working out on our own, but when we got back together here for training camp, it was just different. Like, this defense just felt immediately different than when everybody dispersed for the offseason. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and it'll feel different on the other side of the break, because Mick Schaefer, we think, will or will not be here. Even if he's not here, it'll be different because he's not here. If he's here, it'll be different because he's not here. More so next. All right, welcome back. Jason Anderson, Dylan Michaels, the comedy routine of Nick Schaefer and Josh Brisco.
It's delayed today, but we're here.
Abbott and Costello. In attendance.
Whatever crowd, stuck around.
Yeah.
We're getting a show.
That's right. In attendance and in costume.
That's true.
I have a nude development, guys.
You have a nude development?
A nude development.
Nude.
Nudes.
This, I'm barely hearing myself. I'm a coffee guy now.
Huh.
Ever since Germany, I'm a coffee guy. This is a new nude development. Like within 2 weeks, coffee guy.
You weren't a coffee guy before. Like, did you have coffee every once in a while or just never?
Never. On vacation in Mexico, a couple times I remember having Bailey's and rum. Right. Just the rum and the coffee.
Yeah, that's definitely coffee.
Just like I'm on my vacation. I'm just
That's
doing
how I
this.
got into
So
it.
now
That was my gateway to coffee too. It
Yeah.
was the Bailey's and rum. Was my
and now
gateway.
I enjoy the PSLs.
I saw the lid. They had a little PS on there. It's a little pumpkin spice season.
I thought. I mean,
PSLs, baby.
God, I got to go look back to the archives. There's got to be something with you and Corey making fun of PSLs.
I didn't
around
know
this time.
about the abbreviation until yesterday.
Okay, so
I
maybe
knew
pumpkin
about the
spice lattes
thing.
or something
Yeah.
like that. There's got to be something somewhere doing that. But you know what? You're toast now because I was never a coffee guy till I met my wife, and she, big coffee guy. She is wake up in the morning, have to have coffee. All right, I need the coffee, and if I don't have coffee, if something happens, I'll just use the excuse I haven't had my coffee yet. Okay, big. So I never drink coffee, and now every day.
So you're saying you found out about your wife and me that we met 2 weeks ago?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
In Germany.
She said she was going over to a friend's house for a cul-de-sac party. I didn't know what she meant. She said she had to take her keys. I wasn't really. And a pineapple.
People mistake my name with Mitch all the time too. So make Mitch.
That actually is true, though. There's the one true thing that just happened over the last 40 seconds of conversing. But you are a coffee guy
I'm a
now.
PSL guy. I don't know what the next step is because they don't have the PSLs at all times, right?
Right.
Just a fall drink.
Oh man, I can't. Do you like mint and chocolate?
No, I hate mint and chocolate.
Okay,
That's
that was
like one of my big pet
you
peeves. I hate the Thin Mints. Everybody, that's the greatest cookie ever. Like, no, it's not. It's like the worst. I'll eat it. It's the worst Girl Scout cookie, though. There's so many better.
I randomly.
I love
Why
mint
do you?
chocolate
Why,
stuff.
I like mint. I like chocolate, but don't put them together. I like mustard and I like
Oh man, you're gonna say something I like with mustard. I'm afraid.
Cereal.
soup. Cereal.
I like Honey Nut Cheerios, and I
put 'em
like
together,
mustard.
though.
I don't want mustard Honey Nut Cheerios.
I like mustard. I like hot dogs. I wouldn't put them together though.
Right, you're not a crazy person.
No. That's a joke. It's part of our routine.
I love a mint chocolate thing. A little peppermint mocha. Try it and think about it being peppermint first. It's more if you like mint but not mint chocolate.
What is a latte? Is that it's a kind of coffee?
Things that
Like
Renee knows.
not all coffees are lattes, but all lattes are coffees. One of those things.
It's
that's
about
exactly
the
right.
ratios of milk and other stuff. I'm gonna get you a little infographic here.
Is it an espresso? It's not an espresso. I've learned.
No, it's not.
Espresso. Espresso is just the little bit
Espresso.
that comes out of it's a little bit of like black coffee. You get an espresso in a real tiny cup if you want.
That's how Michael Strahan says it.
I think it's Lou Holtz. Tim Grunhard doing an impersonation
Okay.
of Lou Holtz. He does a great Lou Holtz. Tim Grunhard. He played for him, so he
did.
So a latte is
It's allowed.
is an espresso shot with steamed milk. A cappuccino is an espresso with steamed milk and foam.
Oh, yeah, the
I like
foam.
foamy lattes.
An Americano is espresso and just hot water. Espresso is an ounce. So mocha is espresso, chocolate, and steamed milk. So you get a little peppermint mocha.
I think
it's
I
like
would be down for the
chocolate in a cappuccino
or the mocha.
I think try a little. My favorite coffee drink is a peppermint mocha, but I mostly just drinking black coffee because I've been kind of ground down there. But I'm excited for your journey through coffee.
And coffees are like $9 too. I've found out.
Yeah, it's a pricey time.
What the hell?
Yeah, the lattes and the cappuccinos and the frappuccinos are sort of your gateway to then just drinking regular coffee. Just here's coffee, here's some sweetener, cream or whatever. Like Josh is now just straight black coffee, which is totally
Are you?
weird.
Most of the time. That's
Nice.
my big coffee cup that's down there now is usually just black coffee. Sometimes on the weekend, I'll grab a little flavored creamer. Sometimes I'll make a little something. I'll get a little frisky on the weekend.
Whiskey? I thought you said a little whiskey.
The best Saturday morning cup of coffee, not a night we did remotes up there, and I'm happy to keep doing them. Our Farm's butter cream liqueur from Our Farm Distillery. Little butter cake liqueur, excuse me. A little butter cake liqueur in the coffee on a little Saturday morning. That's a good way to start your weekend. Little deal right there.
And then Mick, also, if you're in a hurry, they sell these cans that have a triple shot, and you can go get them.
I remember.
I don't know what they cost.
I looked
but-
for one for you for about 45 minutes one day.
I don't know what they're called.
But now
I don't know what they're called.
Now you know why Dylan needed it.
Yes,
because
I did.
have a PSL every day for 4 or 5 days, and then on day 6, you'll turn into a werewolf if you don't have one.
Yes, you'll find out soon and go, you know what, Dylan, I apologize.
I don't
am
even
sorry.
know how coffee's made. My wife makes it every morning. My kids drink it. And they have there's the cups, right? You put in there, and then sometimes there's filters, and there you have the granulated the beans,
the beans that are ground
stuff,
up. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just
but
bean
looks-
juice.
It looks like the little
it's just-
turf rubber tire things on that turf.
Hot water and ground up coffee beans.
And so
combined,
and that's how you make the coffee.
pressurized.
Sure.
And then you don't drink the grounds. The grounds stay out regardless of how you're making it. Typically, you don't want those.
Yeah, his brother did that at Thanksgiving one time, and he found out pretty quickly that was a mistake.
That's a callback from earlier in the
You
show.
have a brother?
It's fun. I do have a brother. I have
Oh,
a brother and a sister. You could have met both of them at the wedding if
Just
you weren't
focus
so
on
busy
one member of your family.
meeting my mom and taking our cinnamon rolls. Yeah. No, I mean, real smash and grab situation.
So, if that was
it was a smash and grab. Yes, it was.
I can't believe you did.
And then I also took the cinnamon rolls.
Yeah. All right. You guys have a good day.
You're gonna be. It's gonna be really weird when your dad is wearing a KSHB 41 lanyard.
I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow.
Some random concert. Your dad.
Why is my dad? KSHB.
Mr. Brisco is wearing a KSHB 41
What, the
lanyard.
NBC peacock?
Where's his
Josh
wife?
be calling me dad?
Where's Josh's mom?
Backstage.
So Missouri's number 9 in the college
I wish
football
Mick
playoff.
would have been
That is
40
amazing.
minutes later.
What are the rules? I can't find them on, like, if you finish what, you're guaranteed for a New Year's Six Bowl. If you're in the top 8, are you guaranteed a New Year's Six Bowl? Or does that rule exist anymore?
The tweet that I saw last night was if Missouri wins the next 2 weeks, they will be guaranteed
I saw that too.
a New
But
Year's
why?
Six Bowl. Because they're badasses.
Right, okay, is that the rule? If you live in the show me state and you get to 10 wins, then boom, you're a badass.
It's mainly because Alabama, Missouri, and Florida State haven't all played each other. So then there's going to be some tiebreaker
Right,
to where
yes.
it's not head-to-head. It's going to be used with different things. And then also you got to go back to when they played each other in 2011. There's also going to be aggregate scoring for the polo teams. For some reason, that's
Makes
thrown
sense.
in. But, yeah, so they've already figured it out. And if Missouri wins the next 2 weeks, they are guaranteed a New Year's Six Bowl based on the wrestling team's result in 05.
Got it.
So
I think it's top 8, right? Is it top 8? You're guaranteed one? Or is it top 6? I don't know.
I would guess
The top
it'd be-
4, obviously, you're in the playoff, and
Uh-huh.
then there's what, 8 more teams after that. Right?
Yeah.
yeah.
They are the highest
there'd
ranked,
be 6 more.
highest ranked 2-loss team.
8 more teams.
is,
There's 12 teams in the New Year's Six Bowl.
Missouri, number 9. Also, what's amazing is that every single, it'll be different next week, but all 3 of the college football playoff rankings that have come out on Tuesday, all 3 local teams have been in all 3 so far. It's 3 for 3.
They're
It'll
more
change.
generous to the local teams than the AP and college
Yeah,
coach
for sure.
poll have been, because
Yeah.
usually it's like they're ping ponging up and down the top 25. Either KU's out or KU's in and K State's out.
The last 2 weeks, there's been one of them that's 25. K-State last week, 25. KU, 25 this week. K-State's 21. So the loser of that one will drop out of the top 25 college football playoff rankings. So.
And then win the next week and probably be back.
And then be right back in. That's right. My son is still learning how rankings work and everything. So he's like, Daddy, they're number 9. They went from 14 to 9. If they beat Florida, then maybe they can jump up to like 6.
Yes.
And then if they beat
going to
Arkansas,
move up 5 every win.
yeah. I said, unfortunately, buddy, it doesn't work like that because people in front of them aren't going to lose. And then even if somebody in front of them, if they're undefeated and lose, they're still going to be ranked ahead of a 2-loss Missouri team. He's like, but then they would win, though. I'm like, yeah, I agree. They're they would, in your scenario, they would have won. but the teams ranked ahead of them don't just automatically slide down. They get to play too. They also will win.
Yeah, there's things to factor in, like how good you are, how deserving you are, what kind of biases the voters have. Right? Are some voters, have they not maybe voted since 2018, and so they're just turning it in still?
That's right. Did they get denied acceptance into one of the schools?
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
Did they have to go to Harvard?
Have they watched
they
any
have to go to
college
Yale
football
because
this year? Or are they just looking at helmet stickers?
That's right. They had to go to Stanford because Yale said no.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, oh, now I'm stuck going to Penn. Thanks a lot. You're probably excited about the clarification going on in the Big 12.
So
right?
have they made it known, the clarification? Because I've seen that it's going to benefit Oklahoma State and maybe potentially hurt K-State and Oklahoma. Although I think this is all much ado about nothing. I would be very surprised if those three are tied for second, especially the way Oklahoma State's been playing. Well, played last week. But yes, is it official yet?
So Barry Trammell had the story last night.
Yes, I read that.
And he said, last week I corresponded with a Big 12 source to get clarification on what the tiebreaker meant. Our exchange kept confusing me. But I eventually was told that because OU and K-State did not play each other, Oklahoma State's sweep of the Sooners and Wildcats was nullified. He then goes on to say that the original three-way tiebreaker interpretation gave Oklahoma, because it's in Oklahoma, a path to the title game pending favorable results of other conferences.
Whoever's fifth, basically, whoever's right below the three-way tie.
And then talks about the clarification going on and says, suffice it to say, the Big 12 did the right thing by clarifying how it will apply the head-to-head tiebreaker when more than two teams are tied. If one of the teams is unbeaten against all the other tied teams, the team advances, and then says, today, the Big 12 conference office is scheduled to be to present to the Big 12 ADs in a conference call today. It is not a new clarification. It is just an adjustment to the tiebreaker, because the clarification was, yes, everybody's got it right. They didn't play each other, so therefore the head-to-head would not count. They are going to amend, is essentially what this is. Amending in Week 11, Week 12 of the college football season, the tiebreaker, which, by the way, I'm fine with.
It makes the most sense
because
that
it's the
way.
most sense. And this is a perfect example of rooting for what color jersey.
Oh, you can find, absolutely.
Because if K-State was in Oklahoma State's case situation, there would be no complaints from K-Staters.
None.
Well,
like, you can't change the rules now. It's
how it should be. This is dumb that it was ever like that. It's working currently against Kansas State. Because if Oklahoma State were to win out, then it really doesn't matter what Kansas State and Oklahoma do, because then Oklahoma State would have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, yes.
They just have to win the next 2 weeks.
The rule, to me, should read
It should read differently, any different than what it reads right now. It should be worded.
What we really need,
commas are really confusing.
Every conference needs a committee to just decide who the best team was and then just proclaim them the winner of the conference.
Regardless of head-to-head?
Regardless of anything. Just vote. Don't even play a championship game. Maybe do that for all of college football.
Head-to-head.
I feel like that would be perfect.
It should be simple. If the non-played games results still produce the same three-way tie winner in any way, then that team should go, right? Which is how it would work there. It's basically for the case of like, okay, everybody hasn't played, but we have one team that has beaten all the others in this tie.
Head-to-head, best cumulative win percentage in games among tied teams. If not, every tied team has played each other, go to step 2.
What does that mean?
If not,
so I don't know.
Every tied team.
If they're clarifying that, then I don't know if there was ever any sort of hard and fast rule. That
Give me the commas one more time there.
If they took out the comma after not, then it would make a lot more sense.
So no comma, this is how it would read. If not every team tied has played each other, go to step 2.
Right.
Yes.
If not,
comma,
every tied team has played each other, go to step 2.
That either implies an and after the comma, or that the comma shouldn't be there.
And it implies like if not what, and there's no
because it's implying that if they haven't all played and all et cetera, it's still convoluted. It's the comma just shouldn't be there.
Here's the deal: had Oklahoma beaten Oklahoma State, then that rule makes sense. To where like Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State beat K-State. K-State never had the opportunity to play and beat Oklahoma.
Right.
In that case, it makes sense. Throw that out. Go down to the next step.
So this is how I interpreted it when everybody was talking. I'm like, this means that Oklahoma State is going to get the tiebreaker. I interpret it as this. Head-to-head, best cumulative win percentage in games among tied teams. If not, one team has the cumulative win percentage against the other two teams where Oklahoma State does.
I see, yeah.
So then if not, whatever happens then doesn't matter because the if not no longer applies because Oklahoma State has the cumulative win percentage against the other two teams. They are 2-0. They are 100%. That's how I interpreted it. But then the if not, comma, every tied team has played each other, go to step 2. If there's no comma there, then the first one doesn't matter because head-to-head wouldn't be as a result. With a comma there, it sounds like if the cumulative head-to-head doesn't is all equaled out, then we go to step 2. But apparently, even with the clarification, it was like, no, yeah, you guys got it right. Yeah, this is how it was. But that does sound stupid because how about Barry Trammell saying, last week I corresponded with a Big 12 source to get clarification on what that tiebreaker meant. Then Monday, I was told by the Big 12 source that our Saturday night communication caused further discussion in the conference office.
He's not the only one reaching out. We sent an email to
but you know what?
Joni at the Big
Kansas
12
State, if you got a gripe, go to Barry Trammell. Barry Trammell's the gripe there. He's doing the yeoman's work for Mike Gundy. This guy's on Oklahoma State's payroll.
I hope it doesn't come to that, right, to where there's going to be multiple fan bases mad over this deal.
Unless it's Oklahoma, and then it's fine.
Unless it's Oklahoma, then absolutely it's fine. Oh, my God. They're the tears coming from that fan base. They're trying to do this. And,
Oklahoma State and Kansas State in the Big 12 championship and call it a day.
This is what I'm saying. Just say, hey, if you're not in the Big 12 next year, you don't get to play in this year's conference championship.
So you know what,
game.
Texas? You can play in the SEC championship if you want it. Go to the SEC, play in their championship.
Go directly to a bowl game. Do not pass go.
Do not pass the Big 12 championship.
My cousin, who's an Oklahoma State fan, had the best idea. He said if OU, O State, and Kansas State are tied, and Kansas State and Oklahoma have not played each other, then have some sort of wild card play-in game between Kansas State and Oklahoma. And after the winner is determined, give the spot to Oklahoma State.
My idea.
I think it's a great idea. Because you know what? One would be 1-1, one would be 0-2, and then O State would be 2-0.
My idea would be you take Gundy, Kleiman, and of course, Venables.
Oh boy, Battle Royale. Venables is going to win that.
You put them all in football gear. You got to wear the pads and the entire.
Gundy had the best college career.
The helmet and everything.
He's better than Venables, who had a really good one.
And then you've got to go through a obstacle course football of tackling, then throwing and catching and running and diving and going through all of those different things. And the fastest coach gets the tiebreaker.
I don't think K-State's going to want that.
Maybe there's
Nothing
a power.
against
Maybe there's a.
Venables only has 4 years
shape.
on climbing.
Maybe there's a pulling of a tire or something. You know, maybe there's a strongman part of it.
I think Venables is pretty strong, and Gundy.
Maybe there's a thumb wrestling part.
Oh, good point, yeah.
Chris Kleiman's got his thumb on the pulse of this Big 12. I'll tell you that much. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More zone next. that'll do it on this Wednesday edition of the show. Shrimp Petro coming to your way from the Kansas City Barbecue Store. Yeah, Mick, what's up?
We're in it so early? Is that what happens when you arrive so late?
It feels like you just got here.
It does feel like that.
Almost because you did.
I just got here.
Yeah,
but
that's
I feel
okay.
like it was a quality middle segment we had there.
But you know what? I'll always know that when I see the Christmas promo on my TV on KSHB 41, I'll know the day
Under that vest
that it was filmed.
And you'll know under that vest
and what's
is
under that vest.
a Bigfoot wearing a bikini.
You should show that to the camera right now. Camera right up here.
Yeah. This is special. I don't know if I want to be in this.
So, no, when you see that promo of him with that 41 KSHB 41 vest on, that's underneath it. And a thong.
Yep, true story.